call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the qualifier weeks here at the Aegis Marauders League. My name is Moose, and joining us today, a special color commentator. It's Bully. Bully, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I put myself on the list just in case you guys couldn't find another color caster for today, and I'll definitely step in just for Aegis and for the players today.
Awesome, yeah, and we love to have you here. I think that I've casted with you a couple of times on your channels, but it's been a while. So yeah, tell the folks what have you been up to, what's going on, what's new in the world of stonks.
Stonks are doing pretty bad. Today it was all right. Before, they're going down, but buying opportunity. Always buy when the market's fearful. That's when you're gonna get the best returns. Just don't ever think the market is just gonna crash to zero, because it's not.
For sure, yeah. I have my little Robinhood account. I have $50. I put $50 into it every week, and I've lost a little bit, but I've also bought in a lot of stocks over the last couple of days that I'm sure will get me a return sooner rather than later. But I want to talk about, League of Legends, the Aegis Marauders League, and really kind of get your opinions on things. Are you familiar with the patch at all? Have you been seeing any trends? What has been the most exciting part of this split for you?
If we're saying just this patch, or just like the last three patches where you're just
The last couple of patches, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's definitely just an 80 carry mid. Like, you see just every 80 carry being played at some point mid lane. So it's just a very strong meta just to be an 80 carry player, even though most 80 carries still complain about the role. But once they nerf it to the ground, yeah, they'll have something to complain for. So
Definitely, yeah, and we've been seeing that here at the AML. A lot of Ezreal, a lot of Lucian, Tristana, Corki kind of losing their value in the last 2 weeks, but still, definitely to talk about that point, a lot of AD on the map, and probably something that we're going to be seeing today as we get ourselves ready for today's match. We'll go ahead and get started looking at these two teams. We've got Novasphere Gaming Omega versus Team Yippie. Now, this is one of our qualifier matches, Bully. It is a best of 3. There are 4 matches today that are being played. All of these teams in a must-win situation. So it's kind of like a wild card match that really can and will decide who's going to actually make it to the round of 16 and into the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, it's do or die for these teams at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of these teams just try to, throw out their big comfort first, try to get a 1-0 start, because that first game is so important just to create that momentum, which, if 1-0 you get to 2-0, then the other team definitely just loses a lot of confidence in themselves to, win the series. So first game, very important. And then, of course, you just want to keep playing clean games and close out the series to get to the next round.
And we'll see which team is going to be able to do that as we get into our first draft of this series. NSGO, Novasphere, Omega going to be over on the blue side. They stood in 4th in the Void division. Very tough division. Multiple 1-2 losses, only going 1-4 in their match record. But like I said, taking a lot of those games to game 3. The side of Yippie, less games, but a better match record. And so let's go ahead and get into this draft. Victor, Zach, Lux, going to be the 3 bans for Novasphere. Yippie going to ban out the Ivern, the Aurora, which is now available for play, and that Leona. And speaking of ADs, Jinx is the hover for B1.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to see Jinx mid. So it's going to be Jinx ADC, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another AD carry mid lane for that. The Aurora ban, I think it's a given. This champion is super strong. It's going to get nerfed at some point, but to pair it with like the Leona, very strong support at the role itself. So very, typical bans in my opinion that you'd see coming out from Yippie.
For sure. And like I said, both these teams wanting to get, or like you would said, trying to take off those priority picks as the Seraphine. A bit of a sleeper agent here in the AML gets locked in first for Team Yippie. It can go mid, it can go bottom side, it can go support. So potentially a flexible option for them as they move throughout the draft.
Yeah, it's definitely, they opened it up at first pick, so it's definitely a flex, and I assume it's not going to be pinned to one lane. Udyr, it could be played both top and jungle. I'm not very familiar what they play on that side, so
I don't know about you, Bully. I'm not happy about this pick. We have seen Udyr picked in the AML multiple times on stream. Every single time that it has been played poorly, has not seen the win. So I am not an Udyr fan right now. I don't have a lot of confidence that it's going to be a 1 yet, but Yippie can definitely prove me wrong here, as Annie and Xin Zhao are the two final picks in this first draft for Novasphere.
well, that's unfortunate. So Annie and Zhao. So we do see the mid lane come out for Annie, or maybe this flex to support as well. I don't know if NSG does play Annie support, but I do see it very rarely. And just because it's like a burst of damage at level 6, you can basically spoon feed your ADC.
For sure. And it does have that opportunity, like you said, it can still go mid, can still go into the bottom lane, especially now with this Jinx. Potentially Annie bottom lane, a lot of CC potential, can be very dangerous once Tibber gets into play. And so let's go ahead and see what these final 4 bans are going to be. Novasphere looking to take away some of those top side options. Aatrox, Duelist, a lot of carry potential there, going to be the first ban for Novasphere. And now Yippie maybe trying to decide what they want to do. It's going to be the Braum in response.
Yeah, it looks like they don't want to get blocked. The Encore get blocked by a Braum shield, so just be careful ban there. So Ornn actually might be a pick that is going to be picked to R4 with the potential of still flexing the Ezreal to mid and ADC. So I wouldn't doubt if they just R4 Ornn right here.
Alistair's going to be the hover. Also, it does look like one of these teams did lose out on a ban, which is why it wasn't available. We'll get that confirmation from Caddy in just a moment. But the Alistar is going to be that R4 pick. Not what I would have expected here in this draft.
Yeah, it just solidifies that the Seraphine is going to go mid, Ezreal's going to go ADC, but that doesn't mean that Udyr is not going to be jungle. It could be top as well, so that flex is still there in response. I wonder what NSG is going to do. They're going to pick the Rel.
Yeah, and Rel going to have the opportunity to bring everyone together with that Magnet Storm. My concern here as we get into the final starts of this draft is that you've got Annie and Rel and even Jinx that all want to make sure that the team is clumped together. Xin Zhao with that Crescent Guard is going to push everyone away. And now with that Gwen getting locked in as that R5 going into the top lane, it does look like the teams are trying to clump together, and maybe that Xin Zhao not as conducive to the team fight strategy that NSGO is trying to go for.
I think it's fine. A big thing is trying to get the resets for Jinx. The Jinx resets will come massive, and that does come into play with an Annie, which can help, just 100 to 0 anyone on Team Yippie. That comes with the Rel that can hold them in place. The Gwen can provide a lot of side lane pressure and can open up the map. The problem I see with Yippie is that a lot of their damage, where is it going to come from? A lot of it's just like 2 items, that's when they're going to spike. But early games, they're going to struggle just taking any kind of team fights.
And so you kind of highlighted the opportunity that the from what you were saying, that the mid game is going to be where Yippie kind of power spikes. The 2-item power spike for Ezreal, the 2-item power spike even for Seraphine, and the 1-item spike that Udyr tries to have as they get into this. So what does the early game look like for them, and what avenues do they have to make their mid game as successful as it can be?
Well, the problem with DP is that even if like their mid game or late games can get a little bit better, what happens if the Seraphine gets caught out? What happens if Ezreal gets caught out? They can't take any fight off of it. They can't stop any kind of major objectives because all they have for major damage is the Seraphine and the Gragas, which, you know, the Gragas will have to go in, and it's very easy for the Rel, the Gwen, the Annie just to 100-0, and Jinx isn't going to get touched. It's going to be very hard to touch this Jinx, and if this Jinx gets ahead, it's going to be very hard for Yippie to actually win this game.
And that's, I think, a concern that I have as well. And I now I'm starting to think about it a little bit, trying to see what the Xin Zhao is going to be able to do. And it is to stop with that Crescent Guard. It can stop that Encore if the explosive cask goes in the wrong direction, or if Xin Zhao is able to time that correctly for Stro. You have the opportunity to take out a lot of those big ultimates, a lot of those difference makers in these team fights. And so I'm definitely agreeing with you. I'm struggling to see how Yippie is going to be able to win this at face value, but I don't want to discredit the relative skill of both teams. If Yippie is able to find a way to just out mechanic their opponents, could still be an easy path for him to be able to win game one.
Yeah, the good thing about Yippie is that if they are first to an objective, it's actually pretty difficult, if they have good vision, that NSG actually gets in it without taking heavy damage, especially with Gragas, Seraphine, the Ezreal. They'll get poked out pretty easily. And on the flip side, if, you know, NSG is taking an objective, they're also in one place where, same thing, Ezreal, Seraphine, Gragas can poke them very hard as well. So they have the area to play. They just have to be very, very careful about how they're positioned and how they engage team fights. Because if their Seraphine is left alone, or if their Ezreal is left alone, they're not going to have any more damage to clean up the team fight.
Yeah, and I feel like M2O on the Alistar here is going to have a very tough game. Has to be positioned precisely. Ezreal will be able to get out of any sort of dive onto them with relative ease. Flash, Arcane Shift, maybe decides to go cleanse here. I don't know. Probably not needed, except maybe against the Annie Jinx. But it's the Seraphine, like you were talking about, that I am concerned about. You've got so much dive potential here with 4 out of the 5 NSGO members that can just pounce on to Seraphine into the backline. And so 2O is going to have to play phenomenally to make sure that they're protected.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. In terms of grubs and dragons, I don't believe that NSG will have, or not NSG, Team Yippie will have the best 2v2 top lane early for these grubs fights, because they're having an Annie in the mid lane versus a Seraphine in the mid lane, where Annie can provide another form of CC and they can lock down one member pretty easily. But if there's an avenue of opening and Yippie's able to get at least 3 of the grubs, that'll be a big win, because you do not want to give this Gwen 4 grubs.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be giving them that Hunger the Void buff, and definitely don't want to be giving this Novasphere squad any advantages in the mid game, and allow for their scaling to just be that much better as we move into the Baron phase, where games can very easily be decided here. So I think both teams have their opportunities for making plays happen. But in terms of the drafts, I'm going to give it to NSGO here. I think that they have a much better pathway to victory in game 1.
I think they have like quite a bit of damage. They have a good front line, good engage, good everything. But Yippie does have the potential if they're able to get a little bit ahead of this Ezreal pick, where Ezreal can, you know, pretty much 1v9 the fight because there's not a lot of avenues for NSG to get onto top of the Ezreals without flashes or, you know, Xin Zhao or going to soloing going in. And you also have the Alistar just to protect your AD carry. So there is avenues. It's easier to play with NSG's comp, in my opinion.
Definitely, and we'll get to see what those avenues are, what streets are going to be going on the board here as we get into the game in the next 2 minutes. Before we do that, Bully, we gotta play our dragon draft. We're each gonna pick 3 dragons and have a point on the score total. You'll be playing for Septi, who is not here. So we do it like a snake. We go, you're gonna pick 1 dragon, then I'll pick 2. And then you'll pick 2, and then I'll get the last one. So when you're ready, go ahead and pick the first dragon of this draft.
Oh, the first dragon. So like the first dragon comes up?
No, the first. So you're gonna pick 3 dragons total. Which soul is it gonna be?
Okay.
You get your first pick. You get first pick.
Okay. So Hextech.
Hextech. All right. That's also Septi's favorite, so on brand there. I'm gonna go with Infernal, and I'm gonna go with Cloud.
All right, I'm gonna go with Mountain and Chemtech.
And that's gonna leave me with the Ocean Soul. Bully, gonna be a fun match for sure. Before we get into this game, folks, gonna go ahead and take it to a quick break and give you some highlights of one of our great sponsors here at Aegis Esports, ProComps. Caddy, take it away.
Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the league community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream.
I'm here. I'm ready. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, guys. Oh boy. I was in the chat saying hello, everyone, and I didn't hear the countdown from Caddy. I apologize, folks. Welcome back to the AML Game 1. Bully, we're here. We're ready to start the series.
Yeah, and on the screen you can see it's actually the Udyr top or Udyr jungle and the Gragas top. Just a little change on the screen. So on Team Yippie, I haven't seen Udyr jungle in a while. I know it's still like playable, but I don't know. I feel like watching Udyr top is much more fun.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's an Ezreal mid. Yeah, I was just about to talk about that. We've got Fitz with the teleport, Flash, Ezreal mid, Annie going to be their opponent. We've got 3 total teleports on the Yippie side, so a lot of side lane play, which I think goes to highlight how important Yippie wants to play into the mid game for those early dragons, for that Rift Herald, and I think inevitably, if they do well, to play for those Barons past the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, there's so much to sustain on the spot side, so any kind of poke will stick quite a bit. Any type of poke on them, they could just heal up. So they will probably look to take some aggressive trades in these early levels.
Definitely. And then really quick, Kat, if you are able to change where Udyr and Gragas are at so we can have it on competitive viewing, that would be great. But to get started with this one, you talked about the sustain. You know, you've got M2O on the Udyr, going to be able to give that little bit of healing, as well as the Seraphine here. And it does look like they're trying to really exercise the mana that they have, trying to use those resources effectively to maybe push out Airburner in the beginning of this round.
Yeah, I don't expect a lot of action to like actually happen in the mid lane until level 6. Ezreal's pretty safe. You know, I don't think Annie's gonna walk up and take a lot of poke from Ezreal this early on, but with any kind of gank opportunity from the Zinzao or Udyr, that's where we're gonna see a little bit of plays, and I think it will give a big tell of where the junglers want to prioritize in terms of grubs, dragon, and which lanes they want to try to get ahead.
And I think that also highlights the necessity for both, as we get a trade here in the mid lane, a big damage onto Indalecio on the Annie there.
That's why I didn't think Annie should actually walk up to take those kind of trades this early on, because Ezreal actually out trades. So lessons learned.
We'll go ahead and we'll get another play here in the bottom or top side. Dino going to get stunned out. No flash available. Used the ghost and unable to get it. M2O going to be in the mid lane. Maybe looking to go for a play against Indalecio here. See if they are able to get it, or if they even want to attempt it. Maybe just being there would be a little bit of a pest as we get our first action of the game.
Yep, and that was a consequence, and that just actually spited away.
And now we got a stun here. Okay, Indalecio going to be able to get one, but is going to go one in the raiding arms of M2O there. And now Tyro going to be down as well. Fitz will pick up that one. So overall, in the first 4.25 minutes of play, a 3-1 advantage to Team Yippie.
Yeah, the bot lane of NSG was actually on a back timer, so that was a perfect timing from the Alistar to roam up mid and help secure the kills in that skirmish in the river. And a kill going over to Ezreal is actually massive in this lane, and another kill going over to Udyr. So right now, Team Yippie is already about 1,000 gold ahead in this game.
And that's going to just continue to add to the momentum there. First back for Luckyu on the Seraphine, going to be able to get that Tear of the Goddess, stacking that up. No back quite yet for Fitz, but does have that teleport, potentially use it to get back to lane without losing too much there, as a really nice follow-up play from M2O and Luckyu going to get Ngoni down to half HP on the rel.
Yeah, and you can see the Jinx actually opted to go call first back. So, you know, they're going to try to play this slow, obviously, and the game kind of was sped up in the river fight as Azrael is going to become pretty strong early on, and it's going to give Jinx less time to scale up, get to 2, get to 3 items, and 3 items is where that Jinx wants to be to actually wreak havoc in these team fights.
And I mean, we look at the 3 teleport members of Team Yippie all going for that tier of the goddess, and it really is, I think, highlighting the inevitable power spike that Team Yippie is going to have. If NSGO is not careful, Yippie's going to be able to really start to run away with this game at that 2-item power spike. And so, like you said, NSGO trying to slow this game down. How do they do that without giving away too much?
Yeah, Loki will probably vote. Looks like we have a fight on the bot side. It's a little bit. Ignite was burned though by Improv. Wait. Yeah, by the All-Star. So Summoners burned, thinking they could get a kill.
Yeah, not sure what that play was there. Now Styro going to be caught out of position as of both neutral objectives going to be taken almost simultaneously there. Styro going to get taken out, loses that flash. And, you know, I asked you just a little bit ago, what does NSGO need to do in order to get to that late game? And I don't think what happened was there is what they need to do.
No, just the roaming and then just getting priority in this lane is being very helpful for Dark Lord, as Dark Lord is able to call their top lane, and Dark Lord is able to call their Ezreal to help them in the river once again, and just kills are just flooding into Yippie's inventory, and they're just gonna keep growing this lead if NSG's not careful.
And I mean, right now they are putting in substantial work, already highlighting a 1,500 gold lead, level 7 on both solo laners. Lucky very close to getting that level 5, just backed to pick up that blasting wind. A big spike moving into the 8-minute mark, which will just continue to let them gain that dominance in the lane. Despite that though, Marauder is doing well in the CS department, on pace with both Indalecio and Fitz going into the mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like our Marauder is actually gonna go. Looks like we have a dive to top side, but I don't know if that's the best play here.
And Dino wants it. Flash against Insert to be able to avoid the needed work. It needed that. I don't think that Dino can go for this one. They know that they could potentially be in trouble. Gonna try to stop it. Gonna get knocked up. What are you doing? Oh, you had the play and you get greedy.
Yeah, that was just a big misplay. You cannot go for that. You know that the body's name is available. You know that if you step up just a little bit too much, you'll just get comboed and lose your entire health bar. On the bright side, the wave wasn't shoved into the top side, so they're not going to lose any CS from it. But I do believe that their wave grew actually pretty large, or to the point where it's pushing back into their best name.
And the momentum is just continuing to go in favor of Yippie. They give Insert with that back the items required to get to that Rod of Ages. Would love to see that completed before the 10-minute mark. 3,200 gold. I don't know if they're going to be on pace for that, but still getting it below or getting it before 10-11 minutes, I think is going to be really good for Yippie to continue to highlight this mid-game strategy. And it really feels like NSGO is kind of giving them everything that they wanted here in the first 10 minutes.
Not just that, the Gragas did pick up so much more XP because of that fight. That wave was absolutely massive, and I wouldn't be surprised if Gragas is like a full level up on Dino right now.
And it just continues to highlight, you know, Yippie's strategy here. I was a little bit concerned about the comp moving into the draft. I gave NSGO the advantage here, but they've just had so much power as we get into another fight bottom side here. We've got level 6 and level 7 on the Seraphine and Alistair, not yet level 6 for Antony on the Rel. but they are going to be able to get out of it. Flash was not used. Meanwhile, in the top lane, another cask, another needlework play is going to be happening against Didal and Insert, as Down is going to try to get back under tower. Teleport's going to come through from Indosio. Can they finish it? The True Shot Barrage does not land. Indosio flashing forward and will be able to take out Insert, and Dark Lord is next. 2 kills for NSGO compared to 1 for Team Yippie.
Yeah, Team Yippie gets one back, but look at the mid lane. There's so much minions that's going to fall. Fitz is going to get a couple turret plates for themselves. So in the end, the gold advantage is pretty much the same. It was pretty much an even gold distribution right there. So unfortunately for Dino, they didn't pick up any of those kills. So now they're looking at being 0-3 against the 3-run Gragas with a full round of Aegis, so there's no way they're going to be able to ever 1v1 insert best name at the top lane anymore.
And just really aggressive pacing. I really have to highlight this because it just seems to be the theme of game 1 here. Rod of Ages before 11 minutes. I think that's great timing. Your Ezreal halfway through to getting that, or almost halfway through to getting their Tear of the Goddess completed. 2 parts of that that Triforce goes back and completes it. So we're running into this next dragon fight with a big item advantage for Team Yippie.
Yep, and then also it's going to be dragon fight, and then possibly the second set of grubs that if Yippie can secure is going to be 6 grubs in their own pocket.
And Fitz would love to get that, as we've got NSGO thinking what they want to do. Styro is in the bottom lane here and is going to find M2O, maybe out of position, going to be able to get that stun, going to be able to get the knockup. Magastorm is available, but the Magastorm lands into 3 members, and a burner is going to get flanked from behind, goes down, doesn't get any of those resets, and now Fitz is on the way. Oh my god, the power already with Styro going to get slowed by that Q from Lock. You're going to be forced to flash away. 1 for nothing, or 1 for 1 it looks like, as M2O goes down, but a birder does not get the kill, picks up Infinity Edge first. It just goes to show how fast this game is right now.
Yeah, and that's mainly because Fizz has got the roam to the bot side. Looks like we might see a collapse in the mid lane.
And the collapse is there. Great explosive cask. Oh, Indo's gonna go down. Fitz will pick up their second kill of the game, 2-0-2, and they can go back to the grubs to continue this domination.
Yeah, the name of the game right now is just the fact that Team Yippie is just able to roam all across the map. We've seen every laner roam already. We've seen everyone play as more of a team, looking for these objectives, looking for these, advantageous fights. While we saw NSG just playing mostly towards their own lane. It looks like it's more of like a solo queue game where they're just more tunneled on their own lane instead of trying to go for, plays with numbers.
And as we get to that 14-minute mark, turret plates going down, we kind of take a look at the domination there. 3 turret plates down in mid, 1 in bottom lane, and 1 in top, comparatively to just the 3 that NSGO was able to pick up. The gold lead is only about 2,000, a little bit under 2,000 in favor of Team Yippie, but they also get all 6 Void Grubs. They also get the first 2 dragons. So the early game macro play and the advantage moving into the mid game is going to go to Team Yippie, exactly what they were looking for.
Yeah, any free time on these turrets now for Team Yippie, they should be able to just knock down. So if Fitz is able to get into a lane where they just have free time with the turret, that should be a free turret taken. But the opposite cannot be said for NSG, as without the grubs, they're going to take a little bit slower on these turrets, and an easier way to collapse on them if they overstay their welcome.
And that is now the play. Rift Herald is on for both teams to pick up if the trend continues. Should be Team Yippie to go, and the jungle advantage going to Dark Lord, having a pretty good game on that Udyr. Yes, 2-2-3, but has 3 stacks on that Dark Seal, already has the Leandries, and has really taken control of the map. So kudos to them. I'm very happy to finally see Udyr finally get some love, finally show some plays made as we get into the mid game, though. We've got Indo trying to be able to take some damage in on the Lock U, going to drop Tivers. Buck, you going to be able to get out? Doesn't die, but did take half HP out.
Yeah, you see the itemization by Lucky is actually with the Rod of Aegis, so it's going to have a little more health to their name. Won't get 100 to 0 by Annie just yet because of the bonus health that they get from the item. And then once they get their Archangels completed, they're going to have that Lifeline passive, which is going to keep them even more safe. So it's going to get to a point where this Annie cannot one-shot Gragas, Alistar, Seraphine, Udyr, and then there's a possibility that you see Fitz pick up some MR later in this game, and Fitz is just going to be unkillable as well.
Yeah, and speaking of MR, Mercury Treads, trying to get that a little bit of extra tenacity there, respecting Indo and their ability to potentially still being able to get that one shot. As we take a look at the other items, Thunder Sky completed for Styro. Very expensive purchase for a murder on the Jinx with that Infinity Edge first completed. Finally able to pick up their Berserker's Greaves, but is going to be behind the curve in terms of getting that second item. But if they're able to get to the late game, if they are able to get that 3-item spike or get a good team fight, they're going to be able to pack a punch.
Yeah, they're going to have to get that Phantom Dancer second item, and it looks like we do have a TP play.
A TP play coming in from Dino into the bottom lane. No Draken up yet. A minute remaining until that spawns. Going to leave the top lane exposed for NSGO. Insert does have their teleport up and can push that wave forward to get that inner top tower. We've also got to play on the Rift Herald. No members of NSGO there. No warding on it. So it does look like they'll be able to pick up that neutral objective as well.
Yeah, that was a very, very early teleport to try to get pressure on this turret. You don't have the top lane pushed out. You don't have any footing on the Rift Herald. So you're giving up the Rift Herald for free. You're getting top pushed into your own turret. And now, she can actually reset and play for that dragon anyway.
Yeah, and now Yippie feeling good. There's not even a way that Insert gets targeted there. Just uses the body slam to get out, even with that phase rush as well. So gonna be completely fine. Will stay in the top side. It does look like NSGO knows that they are there. Dino, with that early teleport, as we were talking about, does have the Nashor's Tooth. Will be able to get a little bit of siege damage on to that outer tier 1 tower. But Insert is going to continue to show. Indo has to stay there.
Really
and we've got a play here. The stun is going to land on Insert, as well as the Magnet Storm, as well as Tibbers. A lot of resources expended on being able to Insert down. 30 seconds remaining until they spawn. But where is the rest of NSGO? They are not even contesting this dragon.
Yep, that's just going to be sole point for Team Yippie. And I'm actually surprised Insert Best Name did not just use the ultimate right there to try to push back Indo and make the great escape. Because if that happened, NSG would get nothing and give up Dragon for free.
Tibbers still going to be on for a little bit, going to use it to siege into that top tier 1 tower. Tyro is there to be a little bit of a proxy, as the tier 1 tower is going to be the consolation prize for Novasphere Gaming Omega. They will be able to get that one, keep the gold within 2,000. But the extra ability haste, the extra movement speed on the map, the soul point threat in 4 minutes is definitely going to be there for Yippie as the Baron spawns in less than 90 seconds.
Indo actually just completed the second item, the Leandries, so a lot more damage in their arsenal on this Annie pick. So Yippie, even though they're sitting on a very comfortable lead with 3 dragons and about 2.7k gold lead, they need to be very careful. They don't misposition or just walk into fog for no reason, because they just get blown up by Indo and the game gets completely turned on its heels.
I want to take a look at gold really quick, because our burner has been sitting on these same 3 items for the last 2.5 minutes. It's sitting on 2,000 gold. Okay.
They really want to farm to their Phantom Dancers immediately.
They are, and their CS is showing that, though. They've got above 10 CS a minute, which is, I think, the standard here for the AML, 202 CS at the 19.5 minute mark. A very impressive stat line, but is going to be highlighted, or not highlighted, but is mirrored by Fitz, who is also having a great game on the Ezreal. And Aberder is finally going to go back. We'll see what they want to pick up here. Like you said, probably going to be that Phantom Dancer, but a play is going to be going into the mid or the jungle here as Adoni going to be able to get out using that slam down. But Styro is now going to be the target. You've also got Indo under tower. 4 members of Yippie could potentially go for this dive.
Yeah, but look who's coming to the rescue as you see the Rel and Ripper actually on their way. So good knowledge by Yippie to, you know, maybe we can't do this because the cavalry is coming.
Yep, Rift Herald going to be spawned here. That should guarantee that that outer tower in the bottom lane goes down. And it's Geo, you got to get out of there.
Yeah,
We've got the Magnet Storm potentially coming in as their Encore is going to land. Indocio going to flash forward, get the Timber Stun, unlock you, who goes down. The tower does fall, but the Knockup is going to land in onto M2. 2-0, they will die as well. That is not a good trade for Team Yippie as NSGO look to have stabilized at the most critical moment in this game.
Yeah, and taking that Rift Herald might have been a terrible play as Fitz is going to get caught up and he has a shutdown. So if that goes to Herbiter, this is going to be really bad for Yippie.
Yeah, the tower's going to go down. Fitz will go down, but the shutdown goes to Styro. Dark Lord, though, in trouble, and Dark Lord falls. Alberta going to be on a killing spree. All of that farming is paying off.
Yeah, and now the Phantom Dancer is going to be complete, plus more as they picked up so much gold on this Jinx pick, and that all came about because of a overstay in the bot side where they just got heavily punished by the Rel Magna Storm to the anti-Tibbers combo, and then you saw this Jinx just reset and clean house in that team fight.
Cleaning a house for sure and reorganizing it. Marie Kondo would be happy, sparking joy on the Novasphere gaming side. Alberta going to go back. We'll see what they are able to pick up. And it's the Lord. It's not the Lord Dominic's. It's actually going to be some health cleave there for that second item and then going for that Zeal. Yeah,
so they actually opted to go for the Mortal Reminder and then go into the Phantom Dancer. So they're still going to get a lot of damage. They have a lot of they can now cut down a lot of healing that Yippie does have, so I think it's a great buy. And then obviously once they get their third item, they're just going to be doing a ton of damage.
And now 2 items getting completed on most members. Seraph's Embrace completed for Insert on the Gragas. The Muramana also going to be completed by Fitz, who just had their first death in the game. The 2 Rod of Ages, though, on Insert and Lock You about to proc. Insert completed theirs, now in a 2-level advantage against Dino on the Gwen. Once Lock You is able to complete their Rod of Ages stacking, which they are able to just now, they will be up a level against Alberta on the Jinx. But the next play is going to be on this Dragon. Cloud Soul available for Yippie if they get it.
Yeah, but look who's matching the top side. It's actually going to be Indo matching Insert best name. So Indo can't get a good flank opportunity on this Andy pick, and he'll have to TP in.
Yeah, teleport's going to come through. Let's see if Insert's able to get it. Gets it! Gets the Clask onto Annie. Annie is not part of the fight. And Lockheed is going to be able to get a huge encore. That's Dino down. As M2 going to be 1 HP. Alberta wants the reset. And we'll be able to get 1 reset. And Magnetstorm's going to come through as well. But all the targeting damage is going to go into it. Alberta not able to get a big Mega Death Rocket. And the Dragon is still leashed for Team Yippie to pick up. 2,000 HP remaining. Cloud Soul will go to Team Yippie, and the player of that team fight, Insert best name, getting a huge stun onto Indo. Not going to be able to be part of that fight. Will survive for the time being. Are they going to be able to get out? They don't have flash. They'll go down, and it's the ace for Team Yippie. They can go straight to Baron with all 5 members alive.
The Baron is actually going to be a tough take because you still have Dino available with the TP. You have Herbiter coming up, and then you have Stro actually on the way too. So they got to do this really fast, and it doesn't look like Dino's actually a TP. So this should be a free Baron take, but that was a huge mistake, I think, for the lane assignments for NSG. They needed to make sure that Annie was available in that fight for any major team fight breaks out. And it looked like they were trying to TP under their own turret, and Insert best name was able to just use the ultimate to stop the TP and then TP themselves into that team fight to create an odd man advantage in which the Soul was secured, now Baron's secured, now Yippie just has full control of this game once again.
huge control of this game. NSGO was looking to get back into it, and now they are out. Encore is going to land onto both Styro and onto Aberter, who are going to give more money to Team Yippie and give them a 3v5 power play with Baron and the reset already completed. And Donny going to potentially go out as well. No, should be fine, but this power play could spell doom for NSGO here in game one, 25 minutes in, and Team Yippie are looking to poise to win it.
Yeah, without Arbiter or the Jin Sao, they can't actually protect their own base, as Jinx is like the strongest member on their own team. And if you look at the bot side, Dino can't 1v1 insert best name still, so they're just going to be losing turrets after turrets, and now the play is going to be topside to get that last or second to last inner turret.
And the 4-1 lane assignment will now commence. Yippie didn't want to try to go for the end there with Styro and Aberter back up online. Runan's Hurricane, the third item for Aberter, so no Phantom Dancer yet for the Jinx. But I don't know if it's going to really matter here, as NSGO are just trying to be able to keep whatever structures they can alive. The inhibitor is down in the mid lane. That inner tower is down in the bottom lane, and Dino is missing those needlework shots. Insert best name wants this kill and will be able to get it. Styro is now there, which now indicates that NSGO is very split up here in this fight. Insert going to be able to get that stun onto Styro, but will be able to land the Wind Becomes Lightning. 4 members of Team Yippie going to be going into the top side of the rift, looking to potentially get another inhibitor turret down. I don't know if they want to do it. Looking like they're going to play safe, and they're going to back off for another wave.
Yeah, and it's a good trade back in the bot side to make sure that insert best name just didn't get a solo kill and get that tier 2 tower. They were able to clean it up and protect that top side still. Yes, they lost their tier 2 top side tower, they lost their inhib mid, and now they're down 6.3k gold. So in a game where NSG made a huge fight comeback and was able to get their Jinx online, a small mistake just threw a big portion of the game, but they still have the avenue of, they do have a 3-item Jinx. They still have the opportunity to wombo combo and get the resets for Jinx to clean up the fight. So Yippie's not out of the woods yet. They just need to play some clean League of Legends just to make sure they don't throw again.
And I am curious about your opinion here on the Jinx build. You go for that very early Infinity Edge. We'll see if they try to go for a fight here. I don't think that they want it. They will try to back away, so we can talk about this. Goes for that very early Infinity Edge, then picks up Mortal Reminder with that shutdown, and then just very recently going in for that Runan's Hurricane. Not going for the biggest amount of damage possible, looking to go for more of that utility, more of that sustain. Is that what you would have done, or would you prefer more of that big damage build?
I actually see a lot of people go for the Runan's Hurricane if they feel like they need to just have everyone clumped into one spot where they do have the rel. I personally like Phantom Dancer a lot over the Runans, but in a game like this where I think they, each game or each auto can mean, winning a team fight and losing a team fight, and having the Runan's Hurricanes to try to last hit any major damage with the burst damage from the Annie. I think that's what they're more comfortable with, and a lot of times what you're more comfortable with is the best build for you.
2-0.
I do like the Mortal Reminder though.
And now Indo going to potentially be in trouble. The cavalry has arrived for both teams, and Timbers will get dropped, but Fitz is going to be unstoppable, going to be able to pick up that one, and Donny does still have the Magnet Storm available as 4 members of NSGO are there. Dino's going to be at half HP. Encore is going to land in onto Styro, and now NSGO are committed to this fight. Dino was 1 HP, cannot really engage with this one. Magnet Storm's going to come in from Andoni, but the knockoff from Intuo, going to land in onto the front line, but the damage is there. Aberter is going to be able to get 1, and that's going to mean an opportunity for Yippie to maybe clean this up, but they've got to deal with their base as well. Insert is into the base, into those Nexus towers, and is going to get half damage on 1. Going to lock in damage onto Aberter, who's going to be 1 HP. The knockup to keep Aberter alive is going to stay in to do a little bit more damage. Tyro will pick it up, but 1 inhibitor tower will go down. True Shot Barrage, not going to take out Aberter, barely survives.
Look what's
NSGO
coming
now.
up, though. The Elder Dragon is now spawned, and no jungler for Yippie, no top laner for Yippie. So Yippie does have the TP on the Gragas, but it will be down. Well, they can't use it for 40 seconds, so NSG should just jump on this dragon as soon as possible and look to just fight for it immediately.
And I think NSG has no choice here. 27 seconds remaining until the teleport available for insert could potentially go for the back door to end the game. And Andoni trying to be able to land the stun onto Fitz will be able to get it as M2O, Lockyu, and Fitz are now here going to be followed up by Dark Lord to make this a true 4v4. But that poke damage coming in from Lockyu and Fitz is undeniable here, Bully, as the Elder Dragon is a prize that both teams can try to go for. The inhibitor respawning is a big for NSGO. I don't know if Insert wants to go for a teleport play, but they will be there to make this a true 5v5 for this Elder Drake.
And I mentioned this before, is if Yippie's first to an objective, they have the poke damage to get a lot of damage for the ensuing fight, but Anthony wants to take this fight right now.
Wants to go in, but doesn't go for the Magnet Storm quite yet. Going to get a little bit of damage as now Endo gonna get caught out. Big Timbers though, huge Timbers followed by a big Magnet Storm. That's gonna be one down, but Alberto's left all alone and will fall. Dark Lord is 1 HP, but Fitz is now going to be targeted by Styro and Andoni, and Fitz 1 HP, surviving, going to be able to get out of this one for the time being. We've got Dino, who has not yet done much in this game. Get the damage. 3 members of Team Yippie are going to be able to survive with 1 HP remaining, as Interpet's name is going to go golden to delay even more time here so that Team Yippie can potentially come back into this one. Oh my god! Interpet's name with a Phage Rush is going to be able to get out of this one, and now Fitz is going to teleport in. Yes, Dino's going to be able to get one, but are they going to be able to get any more? No, they can't! It's a triple kill for Interpet's name on this Gragas, and an ace for Team Yippie.
And that was the fight of margins, as 3 members of Yippie was able to scatter away, heal up, and then join the team fight with a TP to change that fight back in favor of Yippie. Now they're TPing mid lane. They're taking the Elder right now as they jump on it, and wow, that was a close fight. But I mentioned before that Arbiter, if they're left alone, they just get jumped on, and unfortunately, everyone engaged. No one was helping their fed Jinx.
And now the walls are closing in on this 32-minute banger. Elder Drake is now confirmed for Team Yippie, a game-winning buff for this squad. They could look to go for a little extra insurance, which it does look like they want to go for this Baron Nashor, or at least threaten it, as the Scuttle Crab will get taken. No vision available here, as they are going to find a couple of members of NSGO there, and Lockyu's going to be able to use the Elder Drake buff to take out Andoni, not going to be able to use that Magnet Storm, and with a 4v5 opportunity, NSGO might be curtains for them in game 1.
Yep, and this Elder Dragon will just help clean up this entire team fight, as everyone's just going to go down almost immediately. And a game that was super close and back and forth, Yippie was able to clean it up, and with the last touch, they'll take this last Nexus turret and secure the first game. Except they want to kill Arbiter first. Never mind.
Yeah, trying to be able to clean it up here. Dino's going to go in, sacrifice their life for the NSGO cause.
Yeah, they want to get the kills.
But you know what? When you are this far ahead, when you have such a great play, Team Yippie can say, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want. Team Yippie with a 12,000 gold lead, 29-17. But it was really insert best name on this Gragas, who had so many highlight plays and put NSGO on the back burner. The comparison between them and Dino on the Gwen cannot be ignored. Really phenomenal game here for the Gragas, who had the second most damage in the game.
Yeah, and a lot of this game was because of the early game. The early game, they got put behind the Grubs, the Rift, 2 dragons, and a 3rd dragon that they had to give them for free. And then they felt the pressure that they needed to contest that 4th dragon. And it was a bad fight for them that ended in not just the soul being taken, it was the Baron being taken. And with that Baron, they were just able to just demolish NSG's base and able to clean it up from there. So in a game that you see in this gold graph where it became a 2.3k gold lead and this immediately went back to even. It just immediately gave back, and they just gave back all the gold they ever wanted. And Yippie is going to take that, and I think they wanted to tilt NSG with at the end of the game by just making sure everyone just perishes and then taking the Nexus.
And you highlight it there, and you look at the 3 damage dealers here. It was the top side of the rift. Ezreal, Udyr, Gragas. The bottom side did next to nothing in damage, but it was their combined CC power that really put them in the advantage position. A lot of great encores from LockQ, and it just goes to show that having a strong early game, having those great macro plays can make the difference. And indeed, it was for Team Yippie, who are now looking to gain a 2-0 sweep against Novasphere Gaming Omega. Doing so would solidify their spot in the playoffs. So as we take this quick break here, I'm very excited to see how both these teams look to adapt their strategies, because there were definitely points where Novasphere Gaming could have very much brought this game back.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And, it's one of the key points in that game that I think Yippie needed to do to win that game was getting the Ezreal head, and they did just that. Novasphere, they need to be more aware of potential roams on the map. That's how they actually lost early in the game, where every lane, even like level 2 or 3, you saw the all-star roam from bot side and going to mid, and just probably caught them off guard, because like, wait, this is like the first scuttle and I see the enemy support right here, what's going on? And that wasn't the end of it, as we saw the Gragas roam mid, we saw Annie roam top, Granny roam bot, or not Annie, sorry, the Ezreal. And it was just a team adventure for Yippie, and that's how they got it done.
And got it done, they did. We're going to take a quick break to reset and go into game number 2's draft. So folks, take a couple of minutes, get those snacks, get whatever you need done so that we can be back for a phenomenal series for sure. We'll be right back, folks.
make yourself remember. Darling, don't look for me, I'm just a story you've been told. So let's pretend a little longer, 'cause when we're gone, everything goes on. You were staring at the window, and I said, I wanna take you to the sea. And when I'm better, we'll do everything. I've gotta stop making promises I can't keep. But if I was gone tomorrow, won't the waves crash on? Is it selfish that I'm happy as we pass the setting sun? Someday I'll be overcast, but you won't have to cry, 'cause we'll do the grieving while I'm by your side. I said, don't try to make yourself remember. Darling, don't look for me, I'm just a story you've been told. So let's pretend a little longer, 'cause when we're gone, everything goes on. And I'm so scared of getting used to this. All the vines that keep you tethered in your room. Well, someday both of us are leaving.
Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 here of the Aegis Marauders League qualifier week. We are just now ready to get into game 2 here. Bully, does look like Novasphere Gaming Omega is going to be switching sides, going over to red. And it really felt like in draft, NSGO knew what they wanted to go for, but in game, especially in the early game, it just felt like they didn't have an identity, didn't have a game plan.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw the potential of that comp in that game, but just small mistakes every so often just led to bigger mistakes, and bigger mistakes led to big objectives being lost, and obviously it's just a domino effect where you just lose the game. And so I think it's not as much as the draft that needs to be fixed for NSG, it's how they played the game.
Yeah, and I don't want to hearken too bad on Dino, because I think that the Gwen pick was strong. I think that the Gwen pick was a strong option, provided a lot of the checks that they were looking for, but unfortunately just wasn't able to find their footing. Got really bullied by insert name and the just pressure that the top side provided. Even on that point, like Styro as well in the early game, just really didn't have the support as that top jungle duo to really make those plays happen. So I'm curious to see how the adaptation is going to be as we jump into this draft. They're going to be able to get those counter picks as we get into the later stages. So let's see what that means for Novasphere to take it to a game 3.
This Styro is a stro.
I'm saying Styro. If somebody in the chat knows,
It's like 4 letters. How are you getting the I in the middle?
Listen, I'm not the smartest moose in the shed, but call it my Vegas accent. But I mean, he's gonna have to not be styrofoam in this game. He fell apart like styrofoam. Unfortunately, he needs to be titanium in that jungle pick. As we do get into the bans, as you were alluding to, Aurora not going to be allowed, just way too strong right now.
Yeah, and on that note, I'm gonna start calling you Moise at the entire game, because I'm now adding an I after one of the O's. So
There we go. I love it. I love it. I don't care. I just as long just as long as we're having a good time. Lux again going to be banned away. One of the favorites there for Team Yippie. I believe that it's a favorite of 2 of their members, if I am correct. Can go into the support role. Can go into the mid lane. Regardless, though, Zach is also going to be the option as well as that Ivern.
After someone pulls out Annie, you know that they probably have Lux in their arsenal as well, because just having the combo, the one shot somebody is, you know, a trademark of both Lux and Annie. So we see very similar bands. It was basically the same bands, right?
Yep, same exact bands as we saw in game 1.
Yep. So no teams thought one of the champions were a problem. I think Yippie wants that blue side though, for the options on grubs over dragons early on, or trying to get more priority over the top side. But I guess they want priority over that Seraphine.
Yeah, Lockyu going to be put in there. Definitely a playmaker, not a damage dealer. You had Insert and Fitz, you know, really putting in the big muscle there, but I don't think we can be fooled yet in thinking that it is just going to be that bottom lane pick. Can still go into the support role, can still go into the mid lane.
Yeah, I think NSG actually picked red side to get counter in the top lane.
Really? Okay.
And I think that is maybe they wanted to make sure that their top side is in a better spot for the entire game, because when you have pressure in the side lanes, you feel like you're kind of struggle of where should I go, where should I get pulled to, where should I get put resources towards to stop the bleeding, and NSG probably doesn't want that to happen again. And we see a very similar draft from both teams already.
Yeah, the Xin Zhao comes in, Stro going to feel confident enough in it, can still deny that encore. Now we know what power Lockyu can do here with the Seraphine. Ezreal is still on the table. I would be surprised if we don't see Adoni go for the Braum R3 here, just to make that a counter pick really, really effective in this game.
Yeah, and so draft, same thing. We haven't seen anything different so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if we just see an Ezreal pick right here. Oh,
Corki.
Okay, something new.
Yeah, I still like this. I still think, Corki's kind of the same avenue. You want to go maybe for that Tear of the Goddess, Trinity Force, Muramana. And I think that my assertion still stands. Novasphere needs to be going for this Braum here. Not going for it would be an absolute disaster. I don't think that it's going to be... I don't think that you're going to find a better option at this point because of what it can provide. Instead, it's going to be that Hui getting locked in R3 to go against the Corki. Both really heavy scalers in the mid lane.
The problem with picking Braum there is that you can easily change how you want to draft. Yes, you could be like, okay, now Seraphine, let's just put that support. It still could go bot lane, it could still go to support. If you pick a Braum there, Yippie can just play exactly how they need to, because there's not a very solid engage from NSG just yet. They would have to put their top lane on a very primary engage type champion. And then you pretty much, as Yippie, can play towards that, knowing what's going to possibly happen for NSG. So Hui, I think, is a very strong champion, very good artillery mage, and should provide quite a bit of damage in team fights. Pretty much the same as Annie, but not as fast as a burst as Annie.
And with the Corki as well, you're signaling a little bit more late game. You have that scaling potential there. In that last team fight, or in that last game, Marauder did put in a significant amount of damage as that AD pick. And so you want to be maybe having a little bit of that late game insurance, and Corki is able to provide that. The bans are going to come through. The Rel is going to be the last hover, going to get pinched away along with Braum. Malphite and Camille going to be taken by taken away from insert name in the top lane.
Yeah, and it does still allow for some solid support picks. Like All-Star is still available, which I do like. Just in general, I think it's a very good tank front line, and with them unbreakable, you're pretty much unkillable for like a good 10 seconds, and then they're gonna end up picking the Scion.
What? I guess that explains maybe the Malphite ban there. You do now have a very strong frontline, a side lane pick, something that is going to continue to scale up. Really, again, relying on the Xin Zhao here to be effective, and for Stro to find some of those early picks so that this Jinx and Hui and even the Scion can potentially get ahead. Oh, okay, Team Yippie looking for the fun here. Dr. Mundo is going to be the response, most likely going to be the opponent here against Dino.
Yeah, Sion's fun champion. I'm surprised no one's picking Ornn at all. That champion is such a good engaged champion, but and I see it a lot in like NACL type play because it just gives that late game potential. You become basically unkillable. Mundo and Sion basically do the same thing, but Milio is going to be the pick for NSG.
Wow. Yeah, to say that I am surprised, I think is maybe a little bit of an overstatement, because I think Milio can still work well. And I think that the Jinx Milio we've seen in the AML play well, but just not in this season. It just feels a little bit outdated to me.
I think it's going to be pretty crucial, especially against a Seraphine Encore. If it lands on 4, you could just use your Milio ults and cleanse everything from your entire team. So it does give you a solid ability to get out of dodge. The problem I do see about the comp of NSG is in last game we saw a clear-cut engage. You saw the rally, you saw the follow-up for Xin Zhao and the Annie on top of that. This game, the only thing you really have is Xin Zhao and Sion. Sion isn't guaranteed engage. Xin Zhao is, but he's also not the best tank. So a very bad timing engage from Xin Zhao, they're going to be left to dry, as the entire team of Yippie should just be able to put him down to 0 before the rest of NSG arrives.
And it just feels like NSGO's identity as a drafting, in sort of a drafting sense, maybe going to be a little bit flustered here from the loss that they had in game 1. I feel like the identity of Team Yippie, they said, hey, we know what works. We can make some minor improvements there. And they have developed a composition that I still think does everything that they need in order for it to work. You've got that support for Lockhew. You've got that support for Fitz to be able to survive in those exchanges. Fitz playing a very similar champion, just a little bit more late game, with the movement speed, with the flash still going to be available, can still very easily be a 3 teleport game here for Team Yippie. And NSGO is really, I think, banking on this late game.
They might be banking on that late game, but Yippie can easily bank on it too. Mundo can easily run through and just target the Jinx. Corki is going to do a lot of damage. It's going to be able to shred quite a bit, and you still have a lot of utility in the comp of Yippie. You still got a lot of tankiness, and from Yippie, the only thing that you might be lacking is enough damage. But Corki, just in general, should be fine. And unlike last game where you had the Ezreal and Seraphine going to be threatened by the Annie, the Rel, and the Xin Zhao, in this game I only see the only threat being Xin Zhao jumping on your backline.
And they really weren't able to do that in last game. They were really trying to play more into being that frontline brawler. And so Dino not going to be forced to be the carry here, is now going to be that frontline. If we have the opportunity for Stro to get into that backline, it could be a very different dynamic here. If Airburner is able to survive and get those resets, is able to get those plays in, we know that they've got a good CS. We know that they're able to go for some good target priority and get those kills. And it's now just about being able to find that option. They get a second go at being against the same type of composition that they lost to in game 1, and they still put in a very valiant effort to make that almost a win for them.
And I think this game is going to be a little bit closer in terms of early game. I think NSG is going to learn from their mistakes of, I'd say, early levels where Yippie heavily punished NSG. But Yippie, they felt like the more synchronized team in game 1. And if NSG wants to win this game, they got to match that as well.
Yeah, and I think, the expectation just has to be that Stro finds any sort of neutral objective in the first 14 minutes. Remember that they lost all neutral objectives before 14 minutes against Dark Lord in game 1. That has to be a change here if they really want a fighting chance.
I think they actually lost every neutral objective in the game.
Oh, they sure did. They lost every single neutral objective. And so, there's only room to go up from here for Stro. And so we'll see if they're able to do that.
Well, it's not like they had a smite fight for it. So it's not like they got everything stolen from them. It's just the fact that the team in general needs to be able to set up for objectives and, communicate more that we're going to go for this objective. So we should get our resets off. We should, make sure our lanes are fixed, so we don't get punished. And then as a team, we could actually, pursue this objective instead of, bot lane start roaming up. The objective already spawned. They're on it. And now you're kind of screwed.
Fair enough, and we'll see if they're able to do that. Bully, let's go ahead and get into the Dragon Draft. It was a Cloud Soul. It was the one of the dragons that I picked. So once again, you'll get to go first.
So every time I see a Cloud Soul, for some reason, it's always like a Mountain as the next soul, the next game. So I'm gonna go with Mountain.
All right, I'm gonna double down on the Cloud Soul, actually. I'm gonna go Cloud Soul, and I'm gonna go Hextech Soul. Take it away from you.
All right, I'm gonna go with the 2 worst souls in the game, Chemtech and Ocean.
Oh man, everyone bagging on my boy Kemi. But I mean, if you guys watch Japanese shows, watch Kamen Rider, Kemi's there, awful too, so I completely get it. That's gonna leave me with Infernal, and that's the Dragon Draft. Folks, we appreciate you guys stopping by week in and week out here at the Aegis Marauders League. Don't forget to drop a follow on the Twitch channel, subscribe if you really enjoy it, and join the Discord to stay up to date on all of the Aegis Esports action. We're going to take a quick break before jumping into Game 2, so don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. All right, we are here, and I heard the countdown this time, Bully. And we're ready to go for Game 2. And it looks like the action's going to be starting almost immediately as 3 members of NSGO are looking to go for a ward into the Yippie's bottom side, responded by NSGO, and it looks like that's just going to be that. And so, Bully, as the summer season is underway, I like to ask all my casters, what's your favorite summertime activity? What do you like to do outside of playing video games, League of Legends, to make your summer season as fun as it can be?
I love to cast Aegis Esports now.
Okay,
that's not it. All right, my favorite summer activity is probably go watch baseball with the boys. and
boys.
maybe have some beverages, and then maybe not remember the next day. But that's probably my favorite, and maybe hang out by the pool. But
Yeah, we got to pull out the house. We invite people over. It's a great time. Dino gonna get a little bit of damage onto Best Name, is going to be able to get that back. So some trading coming in from the two wet noodles there, but definitely agree with you there. Love swimming by the pool. It has been a hot season here in Las Vegas, and definitely happy to have AC this season.
I haven't been to Las Vegas in a while, but I know there's a lot of flights that were canceled there a couple of weeks ago because of how hot it was. I was in LA a couple of weeks ago, and one of the days was like 115, but at least it wasn't humid. Yeah,
Nope.
it was bad.
Yeah, not humid at all. Definitely a dry heat here in Vegas. As we go ahead and get started, both Dino and Insert are really playing with their health parts here. Both have that Grass and the Undying. Both have those pots, but I feel like Insert's going to have the health advantage the longer that this skirmish goes on.
I think Dino's actually trying to push Sin and take it back with how they are playing. So let's see if that holds true. Insert Best Name taking a ton of damage. Actually, they gotta be careful. They're gonna die right here.
Wow, Dino coming back with a vengeance. Remember, Insert really bullied them in that Gragas game 1 and getting a little bit of revenge to start off game 2.
Yeah, and right there, Insert Best Name doesn't have Flash, so they were basically trapped between Dino's Q and the wall, and they couldn't get out. So that's gonna be first blood. TP blown by Insert Best Name. Dino's just gonna get a free reset. Actually TP's back to lane just to try to get more pressure. It actually picks up the call on the first back.
Wow, and also goes for the boots, wants to be able to maybe dodge some of those cleavers and keep their health bars intact. That is a slight advantage to just the refillable potion that Best Name was able to pick up on their teleport, but a potential gank play coming in from Stro here, as the Xin Zhao is there. Missing ping showed that they might have been seen, and that appears to be the case. But both junglers going to both be able to get a Scuttle Crab. Stro just going to be a little bit behind on the back as they go to get some warding on that Gromp.
Yep, and this is completely a different early game as we see NSG strike first with that first blood, but that's just a solo bolo on the top side. And Stro's actually, looks like we have a little fight in the bot side, and this is going to be a lot of damage on the Arbiter.
Yeah, going to be Ignite for Barrier here. And Doni going to be able to get a little bit of health back onto their Jinx, but just the Doran's Blade to come through. Level 4 going to be completed for the Team Yippie. Bottom laner, the Cozy Campfire going to come in as well, going to give Adney a little bit of protection, but the warding is going to come through against them into their Tri-Brush, just looking to hold on to those advantages, maybe even look to get out that flash.
Yeah, Imto can actually flash combo Arbiter, and with Lucky able to have enough range to follow it up, they could burst Arbiter pretty far down, or even just trade flash, and just like that, it's gonna happen. But this time, Arbiter was able to flash out, but that's just a worth flash in my opinion, as Imto just gets better flash.
And that's going to be the advantage, a value trade for Team Yippie, as M2O going to have the Hex Flash in exchange. Arbiter having both summoner spells down, all because M2O really being aggressive there.
Yep, and with the Demolish plate taken by Dino top side, just harassing Insert Best Name, and and actually taking the ultimate. Oh,
wow,
very dangerous, but both top laners get out of there with their lives.
They get out with their lives, as we do have a play here in the bottom lane. M2O going to be able to get a headbutt back in on to Stro. They're not going to be able to continue that going. Slow and Arcane Calm going to land onto M2O, but the Alistair is one beefy boy, so we'll be able to back out of that one with ease. Ocean Drake spawning first. NSGO going to have the inward path in. But while that run was happening for Indo, Fitz was able to get a nice down.
Dino needs to be a little bit careful now, I think.
Oh boy,
yeah, Dino's just gonna go down.
Dino does have flash available. 1 HP remaining.
Oh,
oh no!
Yeah, I think that was just a little bit of disrespect right there from Dino, and the Cleaver just gets that a little bit slow off to save his own life. But just another trade kill, but look at the CS in topside.
Oh, Arbiter going to be able to get that kill against him too. That's going to be reset to now as Dark Lord is going to have to use that shielding, going to try to go for that turtle slant. The Zap is going to land. Double kill for Arbiter. As now Fitz is in trouble, going to be forced to Valkyrie away. Let's see if the win becomes lightning land. Not going to be the case. Throw him down again from Indo, and the damage from Arbiter, who has not yet backed, who had no summoner spells, is going to give NSGO a slight advantage at the 7-minute mark.
Yeah, Arbiter actually loves staying on the map, as we could tell, but they're going to finally get their first neutral objective in the series, actually. It's going to be that Ocean Dragon, and next one is going to be a Cloud, so one of our dragons are both gone, so what do you think? Be right again?
I think that Indo has a nice flash, great hands coming in from that Hwei, does get punished for overextending there. And now that it's 1-1 in terms of dragons, I'm going to double down on Hextech. I think that Hextech's going to be the call.
I still think it's going to be Mountain. But the top side, we see a pretty decent CS lead going for Dino and 2 plates. So this Scion's going to be extremely tanky. And the mid side, everywhere else on the map, is the CS is pretty even. So MSG has a slight lead just from kills. And the big thing is Arbiter has 2 of those kills.
Once again, Arbiter is going to be looking to go for the Infinity Edge first. As some lane assignments have now been changed, Indo is going to go to the bottom side here, as Arbiter and Adoni are going to be in the mid lane. What do you think of Infinity Edge first on Jinx?
You know, I usually don't see it. I usually see the Kraken Slayer first. But I've heard of people doing it because they like the extra damage. But the idea of going Kraken Slayer first is that you get the damage, attack speed, and movement speed. Infinity Edge first, you're having to get 300 more gold. So it's a more sizable investment, which I could see happen if you're already far ahead and you're able to push that lead. So last game might not have been the best idea to do it, but this game definitely is. But they got to make sure that they get some penetration early, as you know, you're going to go against an All-Star and a Mundo and an Udyr this game.
And now Insert Best Name going to drop that Insanity Potion, and they're going to look to try it to take them out. The knockup will land, and that is going to be Stro picking up their first kill of the game. Now 1-0 and 2 with 2,000 HP remaining. Meanwhile, the dive against Indo in the bottom lane is going to result in a 1-for-1 across the rift here, Bully, as both teams aggressively attacking these side lanes.
Yeah, they'll get the 1-for-1, but the minions in the bot side were absolutely gone, so they weren't able to get a lot of plays off of it, and it's going to force Insert Best Name to actually TP top, and Dino is going to be able to get this pushed in and then reset, or unless Dino's going to overstay and die, but looks like they're going to be fine.
It does look like they will be able to back out. NSGO making that very early game decision to have Arbiter and Adoni go into the mid lane. I'm not necessarily opposed to it because Arbiter had really good CS in game 1, a little bit behind the curve here in game 2, Fitz having the advantage. But Dino, however, you know, on that Scion going up against the Mundo is having a phenomenal CS game, 94 here at the 10-minute mark. Very impressive, getting a lot of value out of that call.
I think the idea of sending Arbiter and Anthony mid is that they want to use a Scion to try to get something going in this mid lane by using the ultimate through the river and trying to get to the mid lane and then pushing their lead and opening up that mid lane turret. Or they also want to look towards that second set of grubs because they don't want Yippie to actually get another 6 grubs for the second time.
Oh, and that Demolish tech is just nasty from Dino, as Indo is going to get dove once again. Where are the wards bottom lane? They are all for Team Yippie. Look at how deep they are. Look at how concentrated they have been. Indo 0-2-0 with a 0-stack Dark Seal.
Yippie is heavily punishing this lane swap, and NSG needs to have some support go bot side, as they're just going to actually rotate mid and just pick up Arbiter. Actually, Arbiter just gets the barrier off and is going to be able to survive a little bit more, but leaving your Hwei on the bot side without any vision, without any jungle support, without your actual support being anywhere in the vicinity, it's just marks bad news, and Arbiter actually just snipes that kill from downtown.
Kill secured. I think that they're more than happy to give Arbiter that kill there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the gold really quick and see how this has gone into here, Caddy. Hold that thought. We're gonna have a team fight here in the top lane at the Void Grubs. A lot of damage on Stro in a 2v3. Now Arbiter and Adoni are there. We do have the ultimate available for Adoni on the Milio to potentially give them a little bit of extra HP. But they don't have any sort of frontline follow-up, as Dino does not have their ultimate available. Void Grubs are going to get taken by Team Yippie. That is 4 completed for them. 2 are still remaining, but they do get the lion's share of that early game neutral objective, and the team fight is still going to be going. Ultimate's going to be available for Adoni, as M2O not going to have their ultimate available. Arbiter is going to be on a rampage. 4, now 5 of those Void Grubs are going to get taken by Team Yippie, as Fitz going to get hit by that zap, going to be taking so much damage. Arbiter gets another one, now 5-0 on the Jinx. NSGO really putting in the pressure against Team Yippie here in game 2.
Yippie was able to get 2 of those grubs, so more than enough. They just needed to back off at that point. The minute they get even one grub, they could actually just back off and take the Voidlings and just leave. Getting a 5th one, I think they could actually back off that as well and be fine, but they looks like they overstayed their welcome, and they lose Fitz in the mid lane, and another kill going over to Jinx is just so bad.
Arbiter once again is going to get caught out, staying on the Rift far longer. What a prediction from LockU. Going to get the charm onto Arbiter. Adoni does not have their ultimate available, but Arbiter is going to be able to survive with 1 HP, cannot go back into this fight. It is still anybody's fight here for this dragon, as the Cloud Soul is still up for grabs. Dino is now going to be facing off against 4 members of Team Yippie, with 3 of them at half HP. We've got Indo now on the way, going to try to find some damage in onto Dark Lord, and will be able to get him down to less than a 3rd HP remaining. Knockup is going to land in onto M2O, who's going to try to come into this one. That's a big Mega Death Rocket onto the Alistair, who will go down, and Indo will get stacks on the Dark Seal. NSGO now in prime position to take this dragon.
Yeah, and we see the top insert best name was actually the top side all along, just trying to get this turret. We'll probably get this tier 1, but at what cost? Is now NSG will have the 2nd dragon. They get another kill, and this time I believe it did go over to Stro? No, went over to Indo. So getting Hwei going is very important as well. And insert best name might have been a little bit too greedy right there.
Dino does have the Unstoppable Onslaught available, and that's going to be the Insanity Potion going to be unlocked. Dino, as the Inferno Drake does spawn, that's another point for Moose. He's going to pick those up, get the extra movement speed, going to be able to get away. But a much different game for NSGO moving into game 2.
Yeah, they're definitely in a really good spot. The call is actually almost finished for Dino. 5 more minions left, and they'll get another 300 gold in their pocket. So they'll be able to get more tank items. They just have the Heartsteel right now. But as this game keeps moving forward, they're going to be able to get a lot more armor. They're going to get a lot more magic resist. And the Dino that's pretty much unkillable that we saw in that dragon fight is going to be even more unkillable.
All right, Caddy, our producer, really quick, if we could take a look at the gold graph, see where we are at. Big gold advantage for Arbiter, a 1,400 gold advantage comparatively to LockU, up 1,300 gold to Fitz on the Corki. Yes, Indo is behind in gold, but overall NSGO highlighting a 1,000 gold lead and looking to get more, as the Rift Herald is the next neutral objective up for grabs. Dino's going to teleport in and will try to position themselves for this next neutral objective fight.
I just find it really funny that Arbiter just has only 150 more gold than Dino with 4 more kills. And
it's just the power of the Scion here. Unstoppable Onslaught is available, but Dino takes a significant amount of damage and is going to land that knock-up in onto Insert Best Name. A lot of damage going to come through, but no Seraphine is there, and that's going to be another Super Mega Death Rocket landing into the cow. Well done. Great AB for NSGO, as LockQ will take another tower in the bottom lane, but Arbiter going to be unstoppable, and NSGO will look to go for a Rift Herald as another prize for their team fight win.
Yeah, it definitely was going to be a losing fight because they didn't have this Seraphine at the fight, but they do take a turret in the bot side. They get more gold and more solo XP on the Seraphine, and the only thing that was actually taken is going to be taken is the Rift Herald. So all that time that Seraphine got on the bot side wasn't heavily punished, as NSG has yet to still take an outer turret.
Yeah, going to maybe look to do that as the next Infernal Drake spawns, or the first Infernal Drake, pardon me, in 2 minutes time before Baron Nashor comes to the Rift. So could potentially be looking to that to get an inside track in through the mid lane. You could try to drop that to maybe get some more gold onto this Jinx before that fight happens. And as we look at those items, then Infinity Edge going to be completed once again for Arbiter, looking to get that second item now. The Flame completed for Indo, as well as 5 stacks on that Dark Seal.
Yeah, and I think the second item on Arbiter, once again, is going to be the more reminder. As you see Amundo, you see Udyr and Seraphine All-Star. They're pretty much going to get some kind of grievous wounds. And we do have the third dragon coming up in about 1:15, and that will be a third dragon for NSGO, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to try to set up for that early.
Yeah, they set up for it early in game 1, but this time they've got the power to back it up. They've got the front line. They've got a Runaan's Hurricane. Second item completed for Arbiter. I was sure that you were correct, Bully, as it was going to be that mortal reminder.
Okay, that's going to be third item, okay.
It's got to be third item.
It's going to come soon enough. But in mid lane, we do have just a little bit of a... I call those a poke engage, meaning like, it's not really engaged, but just to be annoying.
And it is, I think, very VIP Arbiter game here for them. You know, don't want to give up that 550 gold bounty. If you do have to give it up, you want to make sure that it goes into somebody like M2O or Insert Best Name. As we do get a little bit of this skirmish here into the mid lane, Stro is now live. 10 seconds remaining until the dragon spawns. Still has that Rift Herald available to them. Meanwhile, Fitz not yet with that. Oh, Dino does not have TP here, but does have the Unstoppable Onslaught, is looking to come in. Teleport's going to be available for Insert Best Name, so this is going to be a team fight. The positioning is going to put NSGO into a little bit of an awkward positioning here. No knock-up landing this time, as Dino is there. Encore going to land in on to Imdel, as Dino is looking to deal as much damage as possible into that front line. Knock-up's going to land, and Dino's going to be able to take out Dark Lord. Meanwhile, M2O didn't get the message and will go down to Arbiter, giving them their 6th kill. A 4v3 situation, and NSGO know that they've got the advantage with Dark Lord dead. Dragon is next on the objective track for Novasphere Gaming Omega.
Everything they has actually the ultimate still available as well, so if anything goes awry, they still have that and the way ultimate is available, so there's no way that Yippie could actually contest this. And looks like we do see Indo just almost getting caught out, but they'll be fine.
As the Rift Herald will go down, we'll be able to take that one, as now Fitz is in trouble. Great chompers, gonna force Arbiter to flash, but it doesn't matter. Will still go down. That's Arbiter being legendary. Anthony will get on the board, 1-0 and 11 on the Milio. 7 stacks in the Dark Seal will pick up their first kill. And the rest of NSGO maybe looking to go towards Baron, maybe looking to go towards Insert Best Name as the Mundo in the top lane.
Yeah, I think they're just going to look for Baron. There's not a lot of damage available in Yippie's kit without this Corki, but the TP is available for Fitz. So if this Baron does get stalled out, Fitz could join into the team fight and cause a lot of issues. But this Baron is melting down pretty quickly. The health bars are pretty low for both Indo and Arbiter, but they should be fine, and this should be just the Baron secured for NSG.
I'm going to be able to get it up. Can Yippie get any kills on the way out? As Inserpet's name doesn't have Insanity Potion, but does find enough damage to be able to get out. Indo going to get charmed, who will go down. That is one Baron now dead. Dino is going to be in a 1v3 as they're looking to be able to take out as much time as possible. Stro going to be attacked by Dark Lord, who's still looking to be able to go up against them. Dino is inevitably going to go down. Can Dark Lord survive? No! That's Inserpet's name going down. Dino will die. They will be able to get that inner tower to go down in exchange.
No, they won't. They won't be able to get it.
Oh, no!
Oh, they got it. They got it. They got
okay,
it.
they get it. They get it.
They got it. But the damage reduction, Sion does not do any. Oh, wait.
Adony might be in trouble.
But that wasn't the mark.
Oh, if 2-0 gets the shutdown, that's 1,000 gold going into Alzer's pocket. Stro is going to fall as well. And NSGO give up their Baron play on 4 out of their 5 members.
And that was just a greedy back spot from NSG. And the only Baron left is on the Milio, I believe. So they still have something to work with. But a great play just became just an overstay. And then eventually it just became just trying to back in the wrong spot and then getting caught out. So NSG still are in the driver's seat. They still have 3 dragons. They still have the gold lead, so they still have a very easy way to play this game. The 1,000 gold shutdown went on to M2O, so it's not the worst case scenario of that gold going to Fitz.
An objective bounty going to be played as the extended Baron disaster for NSGO will follow up for Team Yippie, being able to get that middle tower down. All but one outer structure is now taken away. With a minute remaining until Baron comes in, it will not be available for this next dragon fight. And so it's definitely something to look at if you're NSGO as you go back into the replay tapes. You want to be looking at that back because that really puts you into a tough situation moving into this next dragon fight.
I'm curious to see what NSGO does to try to get an advantage early in this dragon fight, or if they're just going to try to straight up 5v5 without any kind of like attempted pick on Yippie.
Well, if you're Adoni on the Milio, you say the second item, Magi Soul Stealer, and you're going to try to hold on to that. 1-0 and 12, not a bad stat line. If you are able to get that one ramped up, you get that extra movement speed, get the the big health back on your ultimate and Cozy Campfire, it could potentially work out, but that's confidence coming in from the NSGO support.
Yeah, Arbiter actually just finished the 3rd item. It's going to be the Mortal Reminders. 3 out of Jinx. You don't have your second item on Indo yet. So Indo is actually only like 600 gold, maybe 400 gold at this point to actually get that last item. So you have a small item advantage on Fitz in mid lane as they do hit their 2-item power spike of having that Triforce and Manamune.
And you've also got the completed Rod of Ages for Lockyu, 1-0 and 6 on the Seraphine. Just kind of comfortably like strolling by as the world kind of collapses around them. But if they are able to find those encores, we saw them land a 2-person encore at that Baron fight, can still be a big player for this dragon fight. 24 seconds remaining until it spawns.
The only problem is that you don't. Oh, Jinx still does have both their summoners, so they're going to be pretty safe in this fight.
And the fight is going to start with a skirmish as M2O will drop the Unbreakable Will, will also use
It's a
Flash.
big ultimate.
That's going to be down. 5 members, 4 or 5 members, as both Insert Best Name and Dino can teleport in. And there is a teleport for Insert Best Name. It will be a teleport advantage for Dino. If they are able to survive this team fight, Dragon is now spawned.
Oh,
and Insert Best Name is going to potentially be in trouble. Insanity Potion is still available, as Stro is going to be able to go up against M2O. Arbiter is protected on all sides for the time being, as Adoni is staying right by them. M2O is out of position. The Encore does not land. Great flash from Arbiter, and M2O is going to be able to get a knock-up, but there's no follow-up, and Dino is able to get a big knock-up. Insert Best Name is going to go up against Insert Best Name, who will go down, but the damage is done. Fitz is dead. M2O is dead. Lockyu is 1 HP, and Stro's going to get it with the audacious charge. Double kill for this Xin Zhao, and the Dragon is now up for NSGO to take.
Yeah, and even though Arbiter goes down, they just took so much damage trying to run through the entire team, trying to get the finishing blow on Arbiter. Insert Best Name was able to get it, but at what cost? They lost their entire team. Only Dark Lord is alive, and they're going to try for the Miracle Steal as they still have the Flash available. And if they aren't able to get this Dragon, I don't think they're actually going to go for it. It's just a soul point going to go over to NSGO.
And that's a big burst damage for Indo, big burst damage for Arbiter, even damage for Adoni on the Milio if they are able to land that kickball. 16 stacks on that Magi Soul Sealer. That is
not again. I've seen this before.
Dino, are you in trouble? I don't know if you're actually caring about this one here, as both Adoni and Stro are there. They're perfectly fine with this, and they're going to force both Dark Lord and Intuo to back away.
Second item complete for Indo with Leandri, so they do have the double burn, and they do quite a bit of damage, as we saw the poke damage on the Fitz in that Dragon team fight. So you got to be a little bit worried about the way. Yes, they're 1, 3, and 10, but they do a hell of a lot of damage. So now you have 2 damage threats that are doing a lot of damage to you now, and you also have to worry about the Xin Zhao doing quite a bit of damage to your Fitz, and then Dino becoming almost unkillable. And so if you're Yippie, you have a lot to worry about if you want to win this game.
And Yippie is now noticing and is very aware of the threat of another Baron play for Novasphere Gaming Omega. This time they are going to have to contest it against a NSG squad that has the Inferno Soul available. They've also got a 577 stack hard steal on Dino, who has the teleport advantage against Insert Best Name, which is going to force LockU to go up against them. And LockU is actually in trouble here. Sarah's Embrace Shield is going to drop, but the knockup's going to land, and Dino is taking absolutely no damage here. LockU will die. And that's just, you know, not having teleport on your Mundo.
Yeah, and that's just going to open up the ability for NSG to go for this Baron. You're going to have to send Fitz bot to match the Scion, and so that just creates an odd man fight at this Baron, and Dino's just going to TP this fight and make sure that there's nothing goes wrong while taking this.
Dark Lord has no way of getting in unless they use that flash. M2 is looking to see if they can keep eyes on it. Who's going to get the Baron? It's a mid-smite there from Dark Lord, and Stro will be able to pick it up. That is Baron Nashor getting taken by NSGO, and Dark Lord going down. There is no chance of Team Yippie being able to get those big kills in this time, as M2 is going to get hit by the Chompers. Arbiter are going to pick up their 11th kill of the game, and Adoni going to pick up their 20th stack on the Dark Seal.
Yeah, and it looks like Insert Best Name's going to try to get a trade, but they're just going to get blown up, and that's just a reset for Arbiter. Once again, Fitz is on the table next, and they're just dead. Oh, nice charm, though.
Yeah, LockU going to be able to at least get Arbiter down. That's going to be a big gold influx for LockU as well. But they're the only member of Team Yippie alive, as NSGO could look to go for at least 1, if not 2 inhibitors here. M2 is going to be up in 1 second, as well as Dark Lord, but the inhibitor towers will indeed fall. That's going to be the one in the mid lane going down. Dino will take some damage in onto the top lane one, as the rest of Yippie are looking to go up against onto this top lane fight. Indo is there, as this is a 4v3 situation in favor of NSGO, who still has Baron Nashor, who still has massive damage from Indo, getting both LockU and M2 down to less than half HP.
Yeah, and after that Baron fight, we did see M2O actually flash away to try to get to safety. They still went down in the process, but without that flash, it's just so hard to get on top of the Jinx and the Hwei. So I feel like maybe if you're M2O, you just save that flash, you just accept your death, and hopefully your team could, you know, save the base. And, you know, no inhibitors went down, but now that Jinx has flash and your engage doesn't, it creates a small issue.
Immortal Shield Bow also going to be completed for Arbiter. Very protected here with that extra life steal. If you take a look at Team Yippie, they've got no grievous wounds on their comp. So if Arbiter is able to get those resets, they can survive a lot longer than anticipated in these fights. And they're going to test that out right now as Arbiter is going to go up against Insert Best Name. The Encore is not going to land on Arbiter, who is still going to be alive. Insert Best Name, though, is still alive as well. And Team Yippie can try to go up against Arbiter, who's going to get that Immortal Shield, but Proc and going to be able to survive. 2 members of NSGO are going to go down as LockU is the third. Arbiter gets those resets, double kill for the Jinx, and that should all but seal Team Yippie's fate as Indo gets Fitz down. And that is going to be a game 3 situation here for this qualifier, Bully.
Yeah, and Arbiter with that 15-3 Jinx was able to survive that last team fight, got so much damage down, and I don't think Insert Best Name will be able to do anything here. Dino gets his revenge from game 1, this time dishing out so much damage, so much tankiness in this top side, and with this game 3, this is the last game for one of these teams season.
And I mean, for NSGO, the only way I can describe it was revenge against Team Yippie, who really gave them the run for their money in the early game. You can tell, or in game 1, here in game 2, the change in the way that NSGO played the game in the early game especially gave them such an advantage. Look at the huge damage diff that Arbiter had. 55,000. That is more than both LockU and Fitz combined.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem. It was actually almost as much as LockU, Fitz, and the jungler combined. So it's a rough spot when you let a Jinx get ahead. And we saw at 2-0 when Arbiter was already ahead quite a bit on the bot side. You had nothing in the top side to match it. In game 1, we saw Fitz get ahead on the Ezreal. So even though Arbiter was getting a line, you still had that mid lane that just did so much damage on the Ezreal. This game, couldn't get a lot going on the Corki. Was able to get to 2 items, but it was 2 items too late. They couldn't get any good engage going, but that time it happened. Arbiter was just so strong, and not only that, you had the Hui getting stronger, you had the Scion getting strong already, and the team fight for NSG just came to fruition. And game 3, I think NSG is going to try to draft a similar comp. If Team Yippie wants to win, they need to make sure they shut down any hypercarry, or they're going to just lose.
It was a very close game in terms of gold as well. Take a look at that graph. You see that 21-minute mark spike. That's when NSGO was able to pick up Baron Nashor and then responded in turn by Team Yippie being able to take them all down. But the graph doesn't indicate all of the neutral objectives that NSGO had in comparison to what they had in game 1. They picked up all 4 dragons. They picked up they picked up some of the Void Grubs this time, and they picked up the Rift Herald. The early game was the difference maker for them.
Yeah, I mean, they only picked up 1 Void Grub, right?
Right.
So 1 doesn't do anything. But in that fight, they were able to get kills onto their Jinx, which is a huge benefit of just taking that fight when you have a slight advantage. So even though you don't get to deny 4 or 5 grubs, you still get to accelerate your hypercarry's game. And we saw the result of what it did as this.
I mean, Arbiter put in work. You can't deny that, but it's all going to come down to game 3. This qualifier match has been nothing short of entertaining. So, folks, we're going to take a couple of minutes to reset ourselves, get the draft ready for game number 3. You definitely don't want to miss this banger of a series come to its conclusion. We'll be right back, folks. Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Marauders League qualifier. A very fun series for sure. My name is Moose, joined you today by Bully. And before we get into the draft, folks, so we're going to get into it very soon. This has been a very fun series. If you guys have any friends, if you guys have anyone that is not watching right now that want to watch some great League of Legends, commentated by two great casters and produced by one of the best of the business, Caddy, send them the link, because this has been a really fun series to watch. And so we're going to jump into this draft. Novasphere Gaming Omega once again going to be on the blue side. Team Yippie going to go back to red. They won game one on red side, and we're going to see if they're going to be able to do it again. As you know, both these teams really wanting to get into this one. They said, hey, we want to get into this faster than we could go. So we put that timer away. They really want to keep the energy going. And this is what I love to see here. My big question for Team Yippie in this game is, do they ban the Jinx? Or if they want to keep the Jinx going, or if they want to keep the Jinx alive and allow for them to pick that up here, B1 for NSGO, what do they play in response? Do they pick up the Braum instead? Because it did feel like the adaptations that they had against M2O on the Alistair really put him into a bad situation. Going to get that final B1 pick here in just a moment. It is going to be that Zach banned away. We've seen the same 6 bans in all, or in the last 2 games: the Victor, the Zach, the Lux, the Leona, the Aurora, and then the, oh gosh, I forget that last one. Goodness, I forget. I already said Lux, but you guys remember that it looks like it's going to be the same bans here. As the first 3 bans are going to be the same. Aurora, Ivern, that was the last one, going to get taken away as well from NSGO. Lux, the final pick. It's like Bully had to step away for a second. Xin Zhao is going to be the final ban for Team Yippie. They said that Stro was the problem in the jungle, and I'd have to agree. In game 2, at least, they definitely changed up their game. Their early game was a lot better. Dark Lord did not get nearly as much power on the Udyr in game 2, and so going to be taking that away. But as expected, NSGO, once again for Arbiter, going to be picking up that Jinx. Very similar composition in terms of build in both games. Infinity Edge, Mortal Reminder, Runan's Hurricane. We'll see if that adaptation comes through. Seraphine for Lockyu is still going to be available, and it appears to be the Hover, and indeed going to be the lock-in here, unless they go for a last-minute change. Nope, going to be that Seraphine again, and I'm not upset about Seraphine being the choice here. It almost certainly means that it's going to be going into the bottom lane. In both games, it has not been the damage dealer. It has been the power of those encores. Lockyu didn't die in game 2 until the 24-minute mark. Very protected, very safe. And the difference maker in all of the team fights has been the power of that encore coming into fruition. But Dark Lord is going to be mixing it up here. They had a good game on the Udyr. They had a not so good game on the Udyr. This time they're going to be going with the Viego. Maokai. Maybe the choice here could still go topside, could still be a jungler, but most likely going to be that support for the Jinx. Hui for Indo, the immediate B3 lock-in. Even though they struggled in the early game, yes, they struggled because they went into the bottom side of the rift. They didn't have that protection with the warding, got dove multiple times. They were still able to deal a significant amount of damage with their ultimate when it mattered most in those Baron fights, in those team fight phases. And the adaptations continue for Team Yippie. Twisted Fate. The lock-in here fits going again for something that goes for attack speed. I doubt that we're going to be seeing that Twisted Fate in the bottom side. We can still definitely go there, but could potentially have a lot of side lane pressure here as we get into the second phase of this pick ban. Milio. And I don't disagree with that. You know, Milio had over 20 stacks on their Vijay Soulstealer in game 2, did not die in that series or in that game. And so the sub for NSGO, the support getting a respect ban here,
Whoa,
goes to show the power. Bully, you're back. Take a look at the draft.
Jinx? No way.
Okay, all right, Bully. I'm just gonna go down here. Gonna give you the highlights of this draft because it's a very different one, and then I want to get your thoughts on it. Milio taken away. Stro not going to be allowed to get that Xin Zhao. Jinx and Hui are the 2 carries once again for NSGO. However, Dark Lord looking to be more aggressive on this Viego, and we're getting so much map presence with Twisted Fate, most likely going to Fitz.
Leona actually made it through, so we see that Yippie can get that is going to be very important. Twisted Fate, that's an interesting pick here.
Yeah, I look at it and I say, I see map range, I see side lane pressure, I see the opportunity to see where all players are at, being able to figure out where Arbiter and Indo are at, I think are going to be huge for them. I don't dislike the pick, but Fitz has to deliver on it, especially considering that they are going to be able to just amass so much gold in this game, had really good CS on both the Ezreal and the Corki. Are going to have to do it again here as Dino locks in the Scion once again.
Hold on. I think, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this Twisted Fate is going topside. And they're going to pick another 80 carry mid. It's going to be either Ezreal or Corki once again. But, nope. I was wrong. They wanted to pick the Trundle topside.
Ooh. Oh, boy. This is an R5 pick I can get behind. Subjugate can deal massive power here. If you're able to land it onto Arbiter, if you're able to land it in onto Dino, you can either make the Jinx exhausted effectively or have the Scion lose so much of their resistances. Do you think that Yippie have now constructed a comp that can find a way to make sure that Arbiter does not get those big resets that they had in game 2?
It highly depends, right? I think the Subjugate's 100% always going to be used on the front line, mainly because they need to shred this front line, especially because how strong Dino was, how tanky Dino was. It was very hard to get through this front line to get to the Jinx. In this game, they do have the Solar Flare from Leona, so they could catch Arbiter overextending at any point. They do have the ability to use the Twisted Fate to try to catch Arbiter extending, but the problem is a straight 5v5. A lot of the damage that you have is going to be the Twisted Fate, which likely I'm going to say is going to go AD. The Viego is trying to get 3 sets themselves, which they could do a ton of damage. And then the Trundle, right? You still have utility from the Seraphine, but without like the Corki or the Ezreal, in my opinion, you don't have as much damage. Yes, the Viego is going to like substitute some of that damage that they were picking from Udyr, but you don't have that true carry in my mind where, let's say, Trundle is going to get a lot of the kills and gold. Yes, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to these turrets. Yes, they're going to be do a lot of damage to these champions. But if Jinx gets a lot of the gold, then it feels like they're going to be able to peel off anyone that tries to get on their Jinx and win any team fight.
I want to bring the conversation to the bottom lane, specifically to Adoni on the support. This is a sub for Novasphere Gaming coming in for their main support player. A respect ban, the Milio going to be taken away as well. What does that say to the power of this support player, and what does that say to maybe the squad of NSGO as a whole?
I think they definitely ran into too many issues because of the Milio that they wanted to make sure it did not happen again. The Janna, is going to be a little more interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that Janna, the odds of getting an Olaf top on Yippie actually went higher for me, because Olaf against a Janna is absolutely, or Janna versus an Olaf is horrendous. As Olaf, you just run through the entire team and get onto the Jinx, get onto the Hui. It's a very easy way to, basically assassinate the AD carry without having to flank or do some nice movement to get to, the back line.
Indeed, and you bring up a good point. I'm surprised that the Olaf didn't come in. I feel like the Janna does potentially give or potentially counter the Leona and the Trundle, especially the Trundle, and even also Dark Lord on the Viego here. A well-timed Monsoon could force both Insert and Dark Lord into a very bad position into this fight, give Arbiter the opportunity to either get some health back with some of their life steal, or potentially get a kill to go in for that reset. So I don't know if it's necessarily a misplay in draft. I think that the Trundle still works, but definitely something to think about.
It's definitely trying to get pressure in the actual lane itself, where you're going to be able to hopefully knock down the Scion pretty easily, get a huge CS lead, get a lot of pressure on these side waves, where something similar could happen to game 1, where they're able to pressure the grubs, the both dragons, and eventually win the game by slowly bleeding NSG out. In this game, NSG has to make sure that there's always somebody with Jinx. This time, they don't have like Rel or something to peel off anyone that actually goes aggressive against the Jinx. It's mostly just going to be Janna, and without Janna, you're going to think Maokai might just go for the heavy engage and try to get into the backline of Yippie, or Sign might do the exact same. So the problem is that you still have to worry about a Viego, you still have to worry about the Trundle, Leona getting on top of your Jinx, and then the only damage you really have is the Hui.
And that was one of the big struggles and one of the big strengths that NSGO has had in this series. In game 1, they were just unable to protect Arbiter. In game 2, Arbiter had so much protection. And so for NSGO here, you are now challenging yourself with Stro and Dino. If they can get good peel and good protection for the Jinx, you're going to be okay. But Yippie has drafted a composition that can really threaten this backline here, and so it's going to be a test of positioning. See how game 3 plays out. However, let's go ahead and get into the Dragon Draft. Bully, you are not very good at the Dragon Draft. Second game, Infernal Soul. Can I go for the clean sweep? We'll find out. Bully, get first serve.
All right, I got to go back to tried and true, the Hex Tech.
Alrighty. I'm going to go with the 2 dragons that we've seen already this series, the Cloud and the Infernal. I am doubling down.
All right, then I'm going to go with the Mountain and the Chemtech.
Gonna leave me with Ocean. Very good. Folks, we've got less than a minute remaining until game 3 comes through, so go ahead and get ready. Be prepared for what is expected to be a banger here. One of these teams will make it into the AML playoffs. The other will walk away with nothing. Going to be a very impactful game. Going to be really fun. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you guys soon. welcome back everybody to the Aegis Marauders League. Quick break into game 3. And this is, for all intents and purposes, a wild card match. Both of these teams struggled in the regular season, falling short of that top spot, now looking to be able to get into that round of 16. Bully, you've sponsored teams at all level of play. You've had your own you have your own league. Dino gonna be in trouble here, probably gonna be able to get out. So I want to ask you, oh my god, Indo gonna be in trouble as well. They're both gonna be forced to back. But while they back up, I want to talk about the pressure that players have to have in these games. Do you think that they're really feeling that pressure, or is this just another game for them? Or how would you coach these players on how to succeed here in this game?
Ideally, there's no pressure. It's not like it's grand finals or anything like that, right? I know it's like the tournament hopes is on the line and it's an elimination game, but you usually don't feel that pressure if there's anything like to the point where it's like, okay, we like got so far in the season to the point where it's like it's either we win this and win the whole thing, or we lose and get second place, and that's the worst feeling. I think getting second place sucks, but in this type of game, I think it's just like player game. We win, we lose. At least we had a good season, a good run.
And we'll see which one of these teams' runs will come to an end. Indo did not back. Did have to pop a lot of their consumables here to start off the game, so it's going to be a little bit behind the 8-ball. Dino, I think, did sneak up back in. Refillable potions still available. We'll use one of those now. And so we get to see all of these teams on display, all these players on display, and it feels like all of these players have had an opportunity to shine in this series.
Yeah, and there's a small swap to Dinos. They actually opted to take the Phase Rush, which I do think is the right play here, as, you know, against... Oh, wait. Would they go Lethality Scion? Hold up. I think it is. I think they're going Lethality Scion.
What does that look like? What type? How does that change the game?
How does that change the game? We're gonna see the Bouse in this game. And I think they're just gonna try to go for like a lot of assassination damage with, you know, your passive, and just in general with your ultimate. You're able to get someone, you slow them down and use your Q to basically have health any one of the carries. But I think it adds another dynamic of the game, where it's like you thought the Scion was gonna go tanky and you're gonna get subjugate and the Scion's not gonna be tanky anymore, but this time the Scion's not gonna be tanky because they're gonna have a hell of a lot of damage, and you got to worry about that as well.
And so we'll see if Insert's going to be able to do that. Jungle pathing, topside path for Dark Lord, clearing out the jungle a lot faster than Stro. And it's also going to be able to pick up that first Scuttle Crab, potentially looking to go for a double Scuttle play, or maybe a play against Dino, as those missing pings are proccing for them here. No vision in the river for NSGO, and Dino does not know it. Dino might be in trouble, as they have no flash and could be the first blood for Team Yippie. Ghost is going to be used. Dark Lord does have flash available themselves, going to go for it. And that's first blood for Yippie.
Yeah, and Dino was gonna back, but then it was like, maybe I could just push this wave out, and they get heavily punished for it. So first blood going on the Viego. If this Viego gets fed, it's gonna cause a lot of problems for NSG later in the game.
Arbiter and Adoni going to be pushing up against Lockyu and M2O. In all of these games, Yippie and M2O have had the resource advantage with the extra healing available. They still have that healing with the Leona. But this time, they feel a lot more confident to go forward here and maybe threaten a little bit of that CS away from Lockyu.
Yep, and Arbiter is CSing pretty well, as they're going to have pretty much a 10 CS advantage over Lockyu in this lane. It's actually 11 now. So we actually have a fight in the bot side.
Yeah, and M2O going to be caught out, going to be forced to flash Knight Zenith Blade. Going to be able to get out of that one. Does still have Hex Flash available. Did not pop Exhaust. No summoner spells used. Indo going to teleport back into the mid lane. So a good gank coming in from Stro on this Maokai.
Yeah, that was actually a really good flash. I was kind of far out, and I was like, maybe they fail this, and that would be a very unfortunate series of events. But they were able to hit it and get out with most of their health bars, so they could stay in lane and still create pressure with the Seraphine on the bot side.
A gold advantage for Team Yippie, though, despite Arbiter having a significant advantage in CS there. Not going to be able to find
Wait
that
a
one.
minute, you don't want to do this, Trundle.
I don't know what Insert was planning there. Subjugate was still available and just kind of gives up 300 gold and a bit of that CS lead and gold lead that Yippie had.
Subjugate was available, but the minute they used their other ability where they try to slow down Dino, Subjugate, there was enough mana for it. So they just ran into their own death. I think they're maybe 5 minutes off, and unfortunately for them, they died way too fast.
Wow, did you see that? Wow. Huge damage there. The knockup still lands onto Dark Lord as Fitz is going to be forced to flash away in the mid lane.
Dino?
Dino does not have flash, so it does look like Fitz going to be able to get out of this one. But this time, NSGO on the blue side are going to have the advantage and are going to be able to pick up those Void Grubs.
Yep, and that's a big swing of events right there, as Fitz needed to burn flash, as you know, Indo just did a ton of damage, a lot of burst damage, and now Dino and Stro able to get those first Void Grubs is a very big, as with a Scion that's going lethality, they could take these turrets so fast, and it's going to be a pretty bad late game if Dino's able to become menace.
Now, are we going to see Hullbreaker in this game?
I don't think so. There's a good chance that he just goes like Ghost Blade. Probably goes. Oh,
wow.
See, that's what happens if you go lethality, though. You're very squishy. So, it didn't take much for easy killing the Dino. Dino doesn't have TP, so they won't be able to get back on this lane. And it's her best name. Should be able to push. Actually, they won't be able to push this out far enough because there's quite a bit of minions. But yeah, I don't think we see a Hullbreaker. I think we do see mainly a lethality build.
Okay, we'll see what they decide to go for here. Wow. Wow is just the name or the word, the key word of today's Game 3 stream. Indo dealing a significant amount of damage to Fitz in both of these ones as Montuna's going to drop on Adoni. Lockheed's going to be forced to flash away. But we've got Dark Lord there. The Encore is going to land in on Adoni, and there's no way that they get out of that one. A 4-man collapse into the bottom lane is going to give Yippie the kill lead.
Yeah, and the problem with going for that kind of play is that you're playing without information. Your jungler is nowhere near that fight. So if their other jungler on the enemy team shows up, you're just SOL. You're going to lose. And that's exactly what happened, as Lockyu was able to pick up that kill onto Anthony. Anthony didn't need to flash. They're just going to be dead right. So good thing they didn't try to flash to just randomly get out and die again. But Dino on the top side gets to play for themselves. Insert best name, taking a lot of damage as well. Arbiter just wants to get the solo kill, but
not able to get the solo. Bolo is going to be forced to use the cleanse. Really wanted it from Lockyu, who did not have teleport available here. Just came back from the back as Dino comes in, but Indo secures the kill. That's the power of those demolished procs, as Arbiter and Adoni are definitely playing with fire in the bottom lane, but it is still a tie in kills now as NSGO takes the top laner down once again.
Yeah, but look who's up here is Dark Lord trying to get that return kill on Dino, but remember, Dino is full lethality, so you don't want to just keep walking in and you're going to take a lot of damage.
Big damage. Heartbreaker going to come through, and Dark Lord will take out Dino, but can Dino potentially get the kill against the Scion, who is going to have to go in for that reset? Nature's Grasp going to be used by Stro. Flash as well. Going to force a flash away from Dark Lord, and that's going to be a flash for flash walking away. Jungler for a top laner play, but we are going to see now Arbiter potentially in trouble there. Zenith Blade is going to land, but Lockyu's 1 HP. Oh my god, Arbiter does not use flash. Nerves of steel.
But the Super Mega Death Rocket is available. There it is. And that's gonna be a kill in a series of events that you thought Arbiter was gonna perish, able to pick up gold for themselves and gonna get this pushed in. So Big play from them. Oh, Fitz is dead.
Kaboom! Not quite yet. There's no second Super Mega Death Rocket there for Urbiter to land that one.
But if you're Indo, you could try to snipe this. But it looks like they're just get this pushed out. Fitz does have TP. It's most likely going to TP mid. I was wrong. Fitz is actually going to go for just more AP. So this is a very AP heavy team in terms of burst damage. But they do have the 80 damage, so they should be able to sustain it.
There's that phase rush coming in. Dino dodging all of those auto attacks against Insert. Really heads up play coming in from this Scion, and miles away from what they played in on the Gwen in game 1.
Wait a minute. Is he not going lethality? Oh, I'm sad. I think he's just gonna go for Sundered's guy. Wait.
It's a little bit more bruiser. I don't. That's the item source under Sky though, so I don't know about that.
The relics, is that what's called?
Yeah, Relic's gonna come in there.
Rectrits. Yeah.
Fitz is gonna take the one Void Grub and gonna force Indo to flash away with that Destiny. Urbiter gonna find the zap onto LockU, gonna be able to land the root. Encore is gonna land. It is a duel in the bottom lane. LockU out of abilities for now as Urbiter's gonna send Super Mega Death Rocket, flashing forward, dodging the Q proc, surviving with 1 HP, and gets the turret, the cannon minion. What a play, as M2 maybe gonna try to secure it. Solar Flare! Okay, we're just having a barnstorm of a game 3.
You know what? That's a hull breaker that Dino's building.
I thought it was gonna happen. I told you.
Man, just go lethality. I just wanted to see the Scion 1-2 buckle my shoe popping, but Anthony's gonna take that to the face as they're gonna have to blow their ultimate to try to get out, and they're just gonna be stunned up.
Heartbreaker, flash.
Oh,
Anthony survived. Oh no, and they get the kill. Oh my god. Oh, Anthony ate that one. Nom 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 nom
back to
nom.
the top side. I don't think we've watched mid lane for like a good 3 minutes, as we just go top to bottom to top to bottom.
Oh my god. Anthony ate that one. The sub for Novasphere coming in, picks up a kill. Everybody on NSGO getting in on the action. The only member of this game that doesn't have a kill is Fitz on this Twisted Fate. 0, 0, and 1 for now. As the Hull Breaker is now completed here.
Yeah, second dragon gonna be picked up by NSG though. The ultimate used by the Maokai, very smart to just try to drive everyone away so there's no contest on that dragon. But in the top side, we're back at it again, but no mana for Insert best name, so can't use the subject once again. And now you know why Trundle doesn't get played top that much anymore.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh my god, look at the damage on this turret.
A Hull Breaker coming in, 5 Void Grubs. Insert best name is dead. And just to add to the fun of this game and this series, Bully, you said that it was going to be a Mountain Soul. It is indeed a Mountain Soul. You are on the board in the Dragon Soul game.
And it gets swept. It's winnable, but on the flip side for Yippie, it's slowly becoming a problem where Dino is now going to be able to take so many turrets so fast, and into a situation where we said that Urbiter can't get fed once again if Yippie wants to stay in this game. Urbiter has 2 kills, is doing pretty solid in CS, and I just saw a Super Mega Death Rocket just fly through my screen for. Oh, they're trying to see if anyone was on the Grubbies. Or not Grubbies, the Rift.
I appreciate that. You know, I remember back in Season 12, Season 13, you just dropped those Super Mega Death Rockets to scout out. And I mean, it's on a pretty low cooldown as well, so I appreciate the play there. And we now get to get into a 15-minute game where it can very much go anyone's way. I want to be... Dino, I think, is going to be okay. Ensemble Onslaught still available. Dino can't die here. Okay, yeah, it's going to be just fine. I want to talk about the warding that we have seen bottom side all series long. If we can get a ward check for Team Yippie here, all of the vision that they have in River, just take a look at that. NSGO has not really played the warding game bottom side in this series at all.
Yeah, I don't think they. The problem with for NSG, a lot of the pressure from Dark Lord actually has been for top side. We haven't seen Dark Lord come bot side that much to the point where NSG feels safe enough to not put a lot of resources in the bot side. But it feels like Dark Lord really wants to get that top side, wants to get like control the grubs and try to get their top side ahead to try to play this game. But for this time, Dino was able to get a lot more trade back every time Dino died. There's nothing for insert best name to get, but at the bot side, while I talk, Indo caught out a little overextended.
Yeah, little bit of commentator's curse there. I feel Indo gonna get caught out. Gonna prove my point that warding is important. As we
important.
Oh boy, what a great pillar coming in from Insert. But do they get out of this one? They're going to get rid of the Nature's Grasp. They're going to be forcing the Ghost. They have the subjugate available. They will be able to get under tower. And that's where Mega Death Rocket does not land. But I want to point this out because somebody did talk about this in chat. Dino, with that Hull Breaker, they did not give the Rift Herald over to them.
Yeah, Well,
okay, though, hold that thought. Dino could potentially be in trouble here. Going to be jumped away.
Oh, are you
and
sure
will
about
go
that?
down. Endo going to get dived in the bottom lane. And Insert is 1 HP trying to be able to get out of this one. Stro will land it. Okay, Stro is going to get the double kill.
You have to know that Stro is going like the Leandri's build that you go on Maokai in the jungle, so Stro does do a lot of damage, and then return, look at mid lane, this is getting absolutely destroyed. And for the Rift Herald comment, you get the Dino, yes, they're going to be able to take like a lot of towers fast, but they can already do that, I think, with their Hull Breaker, to the point where you could throw it into another lane, draw pressure to another lane, and let Dino take another turret with the Hull Breaker, and put pressure in 2 lanes at once instead of having a lot of that in 1 lane.
And let's take a look at the position of the game here as the 3rd dragon spawns. Both teams were able to take a dragon. As a tower was taken in the bottom lane by Lockyu. Are they going to be able to get out? Yes, they will.
Wait, actually, Stro is taking a very awkward route there, but they were able to just make sure.
Yeah, going to be able to get out, but now M2 and Lockyu could potentially be in a bit of a tough situation. 7 stacks on that Rod of Ages. Got that at around the 10-minute mark. The Rift Herald will get spawned in the bottom lane. And the Dragon is now spawned. Dino's going to teleport to the top side to try to protect that tower. They will not be able to do so, which is going to give a teleport advantage to Insert Best Name as long as they do not get stunned out of this one. Dragon and River advantage going to go over to NSGO as Insert is now fighting for their life against Dino, who still has that Ghost available. We'll see what that net noodle fight concludes to, but remember, Insert Best Name does have the teleport advantage in the top lane as the Dragon is now going to get taken potentially by NSGO. Dark Lord can't see it. There's no vision in the Dragon Pit, and it looks like they're going to forfeit that one. Going to go back to mid lane.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight that in this entire game, the TF pick really hasn't done much. You haven't seen the ultimate come out and try to get these picks on the side waves, because mainly look at what you have to play with in the side. You have a Trundle, which should be fine by themselves, as you see in this top side, where they will probably get the kill onto Dino. No, they won't. Yes, they will.
Lord wants it flashing. Can they get it? We've got the support from Adoni there. Nice support coming in from NSGO, so they don't get that kill there. Baron spawning in 30 seconds. Dragon advantage goes to NSGO, and they sport a 1,500 gold lead. But there's that Destiny coming through. There's the Encore to follow up. Indo getting caught out once again. Will give another kill. This time goes to Fitz.
Yeah, and proved me wrong where, it looks like we do have a pause. But I feel like that was the first time that the fight or that ultimate was actually used into a aggressive point where they're able to cash out Indo in the side wave. And don't you love Spectator?
Do love Spectator delay. We'll get back to the game as quickly as possible, but it does. I'm actually glad about this because it gives us a moment to catch our breath. We're looking at almost a kill a minute here. We've got so much action going in across the rift, and it gives me an opportunity to ask you about this teleport priority that Team Yippie is trying to go for. Fitz, LocQ, and Insert Best Name have all gone for teleport in all 3 of those games. Do you think that they have used them effectively to warrant so much side lane pressure?
Oh, well, while you talk about that, we do see Dino get jumped on the top side. They will finally fall. So they are definitely trying to stop Dino from getting towards their tier 2 towers. But the idea of taking like the teleport for LocQ, to try to take the teleport for Fitz, just to try to catch these side waves. So basically anytime NSG tries to go for, like, let's say Indo is trying to go for a solo play onto one of the turrets on the side lane, they have a response to push out the wave and then some to try to punish an overstay like that, where if you don't have the teleport, then you have to play a little bit more cautious of where your wave's at and making sure your waves aren't in a bad spot to get heavily punished if you do make a play for like Baron or Dragon or another objective.
So then again, my follow-up question is, in this series, do you think that Team Yippie has capitalized on the teleport advantage?
Not as much as they should, especially in this game. I think they could have capitalized a lot more. They've been pretty much using teleport. I think, honestly, the last time I think I saw a teleport flank in the series was actually in game 1 when we saw a teleport flank from Indo, or teleport top side from Indo to try to save the top laner.
Yeah, and so I mean the teleport play is coming in from NSGO, and so something to maybe think about for Team Yippie as they come and look back at this game. But going into game 3, there is still a ward available on Baron, and it does look like NSGO knows that that ward is there. River control going to NSGO now, but there's not really an opportunity for either team to, I think, go for Baron, which I think indicates to me that there might be an opportunity for a dragon fight here in 2 minutes.
Yeah, you gotta actually be careful of how much damage NSG has for the Baron take, especially with, the Maokai that has Leandris. You have Indo, who has the Blackfire Torch, and then very close to Leandris as well, and then you have a Jinx that actually opts to go for the Mortal Reminder second in this game. So they decide back and forth if they want to go Mortal Reminder or Hurricane, but basically their build paths are pretty much the same all around.
Destiny still available for Fitz as Nature's Grasp was used and Adoni was forced to flash away. Destiny's still available. Solar Flare is now gone. So just some utilization, some CC getting taken away from both teams.
Yeah, and Nature's Grasp is a pretty big cooldown use, so is Solar Flare, but they're going to be back up around the same time. But the flash being used to buy the Janna actually makes it a positive play for Yippie.
Oh, and maybe a little bit of greed here for Andoni as Dark Lord is there. Did not try to go for the Hollowed Mist and will be able to get out, looking to go for that reset. Everyone on the board in terms of kills, only 1 bounty available. That one's going to be on Stro 3 and 0 on the Maokai. And the CS has definitely also felt that pressure. Arbiter, I gotta give my props to, all 3 games has had phenomenal CS, but this time falling a little bit short of that 10 CS a minute mark.
Yeah, I think in this game, in this next dragon fight in particular, we're going to see everyone on the map have at least their 2-item power spikes, not counting support, and then some for...
Malia, DC there for a second, continue.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Is it raining outside? Yeah, it's raining because this is a game 3. Instead of a 2-game sweep. No, I was kidding.
Oh, Adoni!
It's done. And that is called No Man's Land, where Adoni stepped up and got punished for it. So this is going to be the second dragon picked up for Yippie.
Yeah, easy second dragon there. Arbiter trying to get that ward under, but they're going to try to attempt it here, and the dragon is a mountain drake, so there is going to be a little bit more resistances there. 3 members of Team Yippie are going to be in the area. Teleport is going to get used by Fitz to deny it. I definitely appreciate that one. So Dragon attempt going to be denied by that teleport. Actually, Destiny, it looks like. No, it was a teleport from LockU, so gonna be okay with that one. But the fight is gonna continue here. They are going to find Stro cut out a little bit here. Ultimate getting used by Indo as M2 going to be taking a lot of damage. Still gonna be okay thanks to the healing from LockU, so they will be able to back off.
Yeah, they're going to have the Warmogs, so in just a few seconds, they're going to be back to full health. So a major ultimate used by Indo. They almost got the kill onto M2O. If they were able to get the reset onto Jinx, they could take the ensuing fight, but Insert Best Name and Dino found each other in the river.
And we'll see what they're going to be able to do. Dark Lord going to be able to get out of that control ward. Going to be reset immediately there by Adoni, who is dominating the vision score department. 84 comparatively to M2O on the 69. AO on the Leona.
Yeah, and right now we pretty much have two teams that are pretty much even at all points of the game. The only difference is a couple of more turrets for NSG. Gold is pretty much even. Dragons even. Grubs are in favor of NSG. But in terms of firepower right now, you have a 3-1 Viego against a 2-1 Jinx and a 3-0 Maokai. Then you have some kills on, you know, your utility champions. but in terms of overall power, both teams are pretty similar. Third item on Jinx though.
Third item on Jinx, Renan Hurricane once again. So a identical build in all three games for Arbiter. The only difference instead of the barrier, they went for the cleanse this one. I think aptly so. Don't want to get hit by that solar flare. Don't want to get hit by that encore.
Oh,
Root's going to land on M2O, who's going to be down to half HP. Does have that Warmugs, like you said.
This is 100% where you want to fight. You get your third item on your hyper carry, you want to try to get a fight going, and oh goodness, Dino needs to be a little bit careful.
Dino in trouble. We've also got Fitz maybe in trouble as well. Nature's Grab's gonna proc, and we do have Indo there. Fitz overextending despite the vision on the top side of the rift. Will now go down. It is a 4v5 power play for NSGO. They still have their front line available. They still have the power of LockU on this Seraphine, and Insert Best Name wins in the duel against Dino as the Scion. So if he teleports in, he's going to be at half HP.
Yeah, but does it matter when you have a very strong 4 on the dragon itself? But Dino actually is getting taken quite low, and they're gonna have to burn the ultimate trust to get out. But Dragon or Baron is still getting hit, and TP will come out.
And here's the flank potential coming in. NSGO could potentially get picked here as Arbiter needs to be protected. They are still leashing Baron. 5,000 HP. It does now get deleashed. NSGO going to be able to reorganize, redevelop. Dino does not teleport, which now gives NSGO a teleport advantage moving into a next fight. Dragon at minute 45.
Yeah, Fitz has to be a little bit careful. It has to make sure this bot lane is pushed out, because Dino can easily just keep pushing this bot lane in and getting an advantage into the Baron once again, where he just resets and deploys mid into the Baron set once again. Because if Insert Best Name goes bot side, you already know that they just use their TP. You can just immediately start up the Baron once again.
LockU did just get their TP back online. Destiny is going to be available in just a few moments for Fitz, as M2O, Fitz, and Dark Lord looking to potentially get that Scuttle Crab. Adoni, okay, gonna be fine, gonna be able to back away, get some warding out of their jungle. But the next big fight could potentially be at this Dragon Pit. A minute remaining until that Mountain Drake spawns. Whoever wins and gets that dragon will be at Soul Point, but it's going to be 33 minutes, maybe, or 34 minutes, maybe even 35 minutes until it spawns.
Yeah, and the big thing about that is whoever wins that fight, there's a good chance that they just turn immediately onto the Baron. And look at top side. Dino's going to basically take this entire turret with this Hull Breaker, and he's not going to even die for it, as he has the ultimate available, but he can just run.
Yep, going to try to come through. Dark Lord does have flash.
Lucky flash in front of Dino, and you know what that means? The setup for this dragon is just going to go to the hands of NSG, and it's going to be very hard for Yippie to actually get into this pit without taking a lot of damage.
And a couple of deep wards also going to be available for Yippie, as Adoni could potentially be in trouble here. Going to get hit by the Zenith Blade by M2O, but the Nature's Grab's going to land. Arbiter is still going to be in trouble. Arbiter is down. Arbiter dies. But big damage coming in coming from
Wait.
Indo. Indo does not get as much damage as they need to, though, as they do get the soul reset from Dark Lord. Disaster for NSGO as the dragon now spawns. Dino is going to be able to get that inhibitor tower down, but it's soul point for Yippie. They can try to go for Baron, and the inhibitor survives for Team Yippie. NSGO with a huge misplay.
Yeah, they stepped up a little bit too far right there into the fog of darkness, and eventually they got punished. Arbiter basically had to cleanse immediately and flash out, but still got stunned and slowed enough to the point where they just got burst down and they couldn't get any damage off. The only damage you saw was from Indo, and it was not enough.
Wow, what a play. I mean, what a critical error coming in from NSGO as Dino with that whole break are going to try to do what they can. Super Mega Death Rocket's going to get Fitz to 1 HP, but they will not take the kill. And that teleport from Lockyou now coming in for a big play for Team Yippie, as Dino is not able to get that inner tower down, leaves that part of the base protected. Now 3 minutes for Team Yippie to potentially get some structures of their own.
Yeah, and Yippie is now a little bit happier as they are in the driver's seat to win this series and move on to the next round. They have a little bit of time to work with this Baron. They have the time to try to get these tier 2 turrets down to extend their gold lead. And it's just a matter of fact if they could get the picks on Arbiter, who's now summoner spell. They don't have any summoner spells left. And if they get one catch, not only could it be the tier 2 towers, it could be one inhibitor, it could be 2 inhibitors, it could be even the game.
Got the Noon Quiver available for Arbiter. I mean, most likely going to be going for the Immortal Shield Bow once again. I wouldn't mind a Kraken Slayer here, but they've gone for the same build all 3 times. And this time, Arbiter might be in trouble. Going to be forcing out the Nature's Grasp from Stro, who's going to go in. Great Monsoon from Adoni, going to be able to keep everyone alive. But the Encore is going to land, and Dino's going to come into the backline. Arbiter is still alive as M2 going to be taken down by the tower. Arbiter's going to get that reset as Indo dies off screen. Double kill for Fitz as they're going to try to be able to survive. They will not survive this one. Fitz going to get hit by a Super Mega Death Rocket. It is a 3v4 in favor of Team Yippie, but Arbiter survives. That inner tower does not. Yippie can still look to get some big structures going down as Fitz coming back with that teleport.
Yeah, and everyone's just scared of insert best name, as they are very strong in this Trundle pick. They're going to take this inhibitor without any oh, it looks like they're actually going to go for the game right here. It's like knocking the door for the inhibitor or Nexus towers.
And insert best name is going to be hit by Arbiter, going to be able to get one down. Dark Lord on the Nexus.
Oh my god.
And Yippie wins the series 2-1 in a phenomenal series between these two teams. But those misplays Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get our interview in. If we have anybody part of Team Yippie in the stream, let's go ahead and get an interview set up here. Whoever wants to go for it, jump into the LOL help desk and we can drag you into the channel. Whoever wants to join it, While we get that set up, Bully, what a game 3, what a series, what are your thoughts?
That was honestly the game was so close, literally so close till the very end. That one fight at Dragon that turned into the Baron was pretty much 1 minute long, to the point where it's like, okay, this game is over. I think both teams played extremely well. It's just the small mistakes of, pushing up a little bit too far, or, mispositioning where you're going to get punished, especially if you're playing a very strong, like, hyper carry type champion. And unfortunately for NSG, their season is over.
Yeah, really unfortunate there. I think they played a great game 3, but it came down to those team fights. It came down to a little bit of bad positioning. And if there was one comment that I could make, I really got to highlight the Vision game. Indo gets caught out multiple times in game 2 and game 3 down in the bottom lane, and it just gives gold over to the carries of Team Yippie.
Yeah, and Yippie has secured their spot for the next round, but this is not the end game. They want to make it all the way, and as well as they played, they still have a lot of issues they need to fix. In game 2, they was kind of exposed with those issues, and I know a lot of teams that are watching that are going to face Yippie in the future. They know what to do.
Definitely, for sure. We're going to go ahead and get into the interview here in a second. Let's go ahead and set that up really quick. We're going to take a quick pause, and we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We are here for our post-game interview of this great series here. We've got, I believe, the top laner, Inebriator. Yep, insert coming in. We got the camera this time as well. Welcome and congratulations on the win.
Thank you. I'm very happy about this win.
Yeah, and so we're going to go ahead and ask you a few questions. I might even extend the interview a little bit more because this series was so good. I want to talk about your experience in top lane versus Dino. I think we can all agree, dominated game 1, had some struggles in game 2, and then you guys both went even, I feel like, in your performance in game 3. What was that experience like for you? Did you feel like you were in control or 3 games, or do you think that was an accurate assessment?
I think that was a pretty good, accurate assessment. I think Dino Sion is honestly like really good. I was not expecting like he was kind of like outspacing me in a lot of the points, especially in game 2 where I kind of got greedy for like moving up too many last hits, and he punished me on all of them. But in game 1, yeah, I was ahead. Game 3, I think it was a lot more even. I think you're right. I tried to play off my team, play off the map, and we got some clutch team fight wins and just ended the game.
Fair enough. And before I pass it over to Bully, really quick, we did get some confirmation that there was a sub. Was it the sub and support role, or are you going to be the, or were you the sub in the lane?
I was the sub.
You were the sub. Oh, okay. So did that add any extra pressure towards you, or did you feel comfortable with the team?
I mean, I've kind of played with these guys before in different things, and we've been scrimming a bit now, like before I came into the game. So I think I've felt pretty comfortable. They've been all really accepting and helpful in getting me up to speed with the rest of the team.
Cool. I'm gonna pass it over to Bully.
So, game 1, game 2, we saw a game of chicken basically a lot of times where we saw both sides kind of unexpectedly or die because they're like, oh, I could take this fight. In game 3, I think you thought you could take fights, but then you ran out of mana for your subjugate early on the Trundle pick.
Yeah.
Did you? There's one that you just ran up. Were there times where like, I hate this champ because there's no mana, or it's like, well, I guess I got to be more careful about how many times I use my abilities?
I mean, yeah, it was the Trundle is like a pretty mana intensive champion, especially when you're spamming the abilities on the wave or moving around. But I think that was because he was outspacing me at a lot of those points. Especially he rushed the swiftness boots and his phase rush, so he can just easily kite me out. Even when I have my E and W, I kind of thought I could just like face roll him over just by like running at him, and then I learned like, oh, I can't actually do that, and then I adapted a bit, and it came back.
Yeah, you definitely had a little more damage-oriented sign build on the third game. For me personally, I thought he was going to go lethality just because I wanted to see that because it's fun to watch. He ended up going with the Hullbreaker build. Our guys are not out of the woods. This was an elimination game, so you have to keep playing. Every series from now on is elimination game.
Yeah.
What is going through minds in game 3? What's going to go through minds, going forward? How you want to play the game? How you want to adapt and improve from this week? Because you don't have a lot of time, but you need to make sure that you use all the time necessary to make you ready for the next match.
Well, first of all, there's a chance I don't play the next game, but I also might. That's not confirmed yet. The main top laner is if he can play or not. But I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to keep my form polished, getting some games in, keeping my champion pool like warmed up and stuff, so I'm ready to pick out whatever the team needs.
Definitely. And it goes to show that even if you're quote unquote a sub, you still have the opportunity to make plays happen, and you still have the opportunity to really do good work for a squad, as long as you have those mechanics, as long as you have the confidence to be able to do that. You mentioned that you've been playing with Team Yippie in other squads. Do you want to maybe highlight some of the leagues that you're playing in, your experience in the master level gameplay, or what has your experience been in this season 14?
I played in what was it, CLOL or whatever with some of these guys.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try out for my school team again this fall, and I might very good chance of being on the same team as these guys again.
Awesome. Do you think that being in college or being part of a collegiate team gives you an advantage?
Well, I mean, I think it's like any competitive experience is very helpful for this. I mean, it is like a competitive game, and I've been doing it for a few years now, so I think because the competitive game, even though we're not at the top level here, it's still very different from solo queue. So I think, yeah, all my experience definitely helps me in these games.
Sounds good. So moving into the playoffs, you have now secured your spot in the round of 16. Definitely had your challenges in the Void division, I believe. But we're still able to get some good wins under your belt. Is there any team in your division or within the tournament that's still here that you want to face off against and show what you got?
honestly, not like, not really. I'm just kind of focused on like playing my own game, making sure that I'm not making dumb mistakes and just, you know, locking in. Not too worried about who I'm facing.
Sounds good. Love to hear it. Before we let you go, do you want to have any final shout outs, any final words before we let you go?
I guess I just want to thank the team for letting me play, for what's the word? Supporting me in my carry top lane plays. I'm a bit of a selfish player, bit of a feast or famine player. They've been very nice to me, and I'd also like to thank my mom.
Love it. Glad to see it. Hopefully we see them on stream the next time you are here, if you continue to make it through the playoffs. But with that being said, best of luck in your next series if you do end up playing, and best of luck in your next collegiate season.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, and that is going to do it for the interview. Before we let you go, Bully, any final thoughts?
I think that was just a very fun game to cast. Very fun game to, very fun game. It looked like to play as well. It was definitely neck and neck. And I think just watching this team and hopefully the other matches today went as well as this one. Looking forward to playoffs. It seems like every team has a chance so far. It's not like I am like a main follower of AML. I'm just here to, fill in just a little bit. But as long as I think any team has a chance to win. No team here is perfect. So, you get the momentum going on to a position where we're in an elimination game, already into a position where, okay, this is do or die. And that could spell good for you in the future while you have practice in a very stressful situation where you could bring that to the next few weeks or until you get eliminated.
Fair enough. And this season is now, very quickly heading into its climax. Next week is going to be the round of 16, best of 3 series. And then following in from that, it's going to be the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the finals on September 3rd. Those 3 weeks are going to be best of 5s. So definitely want to keep an eye out for those.
Next week is best out of 5.
The broadcast schedule says best of 3, so if that's incorrect, somebody at Aegis needs to get that edited. But I do see that it is starting at 7 p.m., so I do think that you're correct. Going to be a best of 5 series there. Regardless, 4 weeks of play left remaining here in the AML. But if you guys want to stay up to date on all of the Aegis content, we've got League of Legends almost daily here at Aegis Esports. On Mondays, it is the Aegis Defenders League. They are now following into their 7th week of play at 8 p.m. This Monday, they had Dorado Game Delta versus Iridescent Dawn. Definitely check that out if you guys want to watch that stream. On Thursdays, it is the Aegis Executioners League, your Platinum, Emerald, High Diamond teams. Optimal Esports Dynasty can be facing off against Iridescent Dawn Ignite in one of their final weeks of group stages, followed then on Friday by the Aegis Protectors League. Final week or 2 final weeks of group stages with the Never Walk Solo versus Conduit Regrets match. Definitely check those out if you guys want to see more Aegis Leagues of Legends content. Going to be casted by Orbital, one of the goats. Also going to be produced by Caddy, our producer here on this stream. Guys, like I said, enjoy the content. Please feel free to follow the Twitch channel, subscribe if you really enjoyed it, and join the Discord to stay up to date on all of the content throughout the Aegis esports community, not just for League of Legends, but for Valorant, Teamfight Tactics, and beyond. On behalf of everybody here at Aegis Esports, have a great rest of your week, rest of your night, and take care.